Hey, live stream. How are you? Edie and Nick. Sorry we're late. We're not late. We're about on time for what we normally do. Don't
Yeah.
mind me. I'm drinking coffee. Yes, coffee with foam. This is an espresso. So we are prepping a show. I have no topic. I have one topic this week. I got I got also a sausage in my teeth. I got hijacked by my neighbor who needed my help printing because all of my neighbors are not native computer users. And being an early nerd, everybody my age and slightly older doesn't have a lot of experience with computers. That's not my problem. So I'm like the, local guru of like, hey, can you print this? I don't understand why it's printing wrong. Oh, it's printing wrong because you have it formatted wrong. You just used spaces like it was a freaking typewriter. Boomers, exactly. Boomers. Don't worry. There will be a time when your kids and people much younger than you will be saying the same disparaging remarks about you in the future.
Maybe.
Yes, they will.
No, it's interesting. I
It's not
actually
as it will
there
probably won't
was
be as bad because if you think about boomers not having computers and us having computers,
yeah, it was I forget where it was. Maybe it
that's
was the
huge.
Waypoint podcast, but it was someone that kind of brought up that idea and suggested that like no, that's not going to be the case. That's not going to be the cliche for a lot of generations going forward because like my generation has the base of computer interaction from which all this other stuff is built off of. Boomers
True.
don't have that.
True. But you have
Unless
to remember
we
what
really
were
do.
boomers what were boomers saying about their previous generation. Remember, their previous generation, many of them didn't have cars. So it's not
Okay.
just technology as far as like information technology. It could be some other technology that becomes so ubiquitous that
Oh, sure. Well, okay. So here's the thing. It's not going to be computer related. It will be something completely different. Anything computer related, anything smartphone related, like my generation will, if we care enough to, like we could pick up on it. It will
yeah,
have to be some entirely new thing, like from horses to cars,
right.
from nothing, from paper to computers, from flip phones to handheld computers. Like that's the kind of jump it will have to be. It won't be a technology that exists. It will be something entirely new.
Right.
Um, and at the moment, nothing like that seems to be on the horizon.
No, and nothing like that is on the horizon.
Unless we really do enter Mark Zuckerberg's hellscape metaverse.
Right. It could be a hellscape metaverse. It could be neural implants. It could be a lot of things. It could be AIs. Could be fucking Elon Musk's goddamn robots. Think about that.
You mean
Robots.
Elon Musk's fucking robots or fucking Elon Musk's robots?
Fucking Elon Musk's robots.
Okay.
As opposed to Elon Musk fucking robots, which is
Oh no,
totally different.
I meant Elon Musk's fucking robots, the
Well,
robots
they're
he
Elon
made.
Musk's fucking robots and Elon Musk fucking robots is two different things.
Yes, they are. They are. And let's be honest, he wants both.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Uh, you think Tesla makes a lot of money? Invent a fucking robot. Oh my god. So, AC Wraith is saying it won't be metaverse because everyone already uses the competition like VR chat more. Mhm. Maybe not, but it's going to be something. It's going to be something that people younger than you will disparage you about not being native to in 30 years, 40 years. That's going to happen. Just get over that and enjoy your moment because
We'll see. It
enjoy your moment on one side because you're going to be on the other in a very short period of time, surprisingly short.
but see, it's what's interesting about that is I do think that that general trend has been broken. Um because so much of pop culture nowadays, so much of culture nowadays is dominated by the nostalgic childhood entertainment of people like a generation above mine,
You mean
to the
me?
point, yeah, to the point that culture is making bank and money by looking backwards and feeding off of nostalgia. That I feel like that's where it goes now. Eventually we're getting to the point where now Hollywood is going to stop pandering to my nostalgia and make big budget movies of Animaniacs and what was some of the other Steven Spielberg things? Tiny Toons.
I just got finished watching a very, very good series. Essentially, it was I mean, I'd watched the series previous when the first 2 seasons had come out, but it was the 3rd season. This was the final season,
Mhm.
and it is called Dairy Girls, which is
I
about
know Dairy Girls.
yeah, just watched the final season of that.
Hmm.
And, that's all 90s nostalgia, both good
Mhm.
and bad.
Oh yeah, we are entering the 90s nostalgia era.
Yes.
Um
Yes. Which
and
is really weird for me watching this for me, watching nostalgia because it's all been nostalgia about my childhood, and now it's a nostalgia about your childhood, and it's really
Mhm.
weird thinking like, "Yeah, I don't identify with that at all." Like, "Oh, I mean, yeah, I remember all this stuff, but it doesn't, like, hit the same." It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, that's what,
And I
that's
know
what
that
the
that's
kids were doing when I was in college."
and I know that that's not tech related, but I do feel like it's kind of part of the same cycle of cultural, comings and goings. Like and also with the way the internet is now, like
Wonder Years
the
junk, yeah.
things I watched as a kid are still within arm's reach, right? That the stuff just doesn't disappear. And so it's not quite like there's our apartment is across from a high school, like a fancy high school, like
I was
a
hoping you were gonna say an arts high school and asking you,
not
"Are
a not
people
a hard
dancing in
high
the
school,
streets? What a
like a
feeling."
no, like an advanced student high school, right? Like for the smart kids. And they must have a lot of events going on because we can hear like the student band playing out back a lot.
Oh, that's kinda cool.
And they play such a mix of things from like modern hip hop to like classic Guns N' Roses. It's like, what? But that kind of says like, look, all this pop culture from 70 years ago is still like an iTunes click away.
Mhm.
All of it exists in competition with everything else. None of it is disappearing. And
Yeah.
so like it kind of all stays relevant in perpetuity.
AC Ray says, "Wonder Years junk, that '70s show, I hated the music nostalgia the most." Yeah. And, Bitters actually says, "With each advancing tech, the awkwardness of the previous generation is less pronounced."
Yes. Yes, I agree.
No, no, you're looking back farther. I mean, it is immediately because there hasn't been that gigantic sea change, which incidentally doesn't mean what we use it for now, but there hasn't been that massive paradigm shift, like from buggies to cars, or from um, uh, no computers to typewriters to computers.
Mhm.
That hasn't happened for you guys yet. It will, and
Will
there
it?
are going to be yes, it will. It
Will it?
always will. There will. There absolutely will happen. No question. I may
Maybe
not be around for it, but you will.
maybe there just won't be another big tech sea change like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Is it
if that's the case, then it's a sea change of us, of the sea change. Essentially, you're all going to be underwater, or
sure? Yeah,
climate. It
climate
could be the
change.
climate might be the big thing. Like, I remember back when we lived, you know, when Point Richmond existed, when Fremont wasn't underwater, when the coast actually, or whatever it is. I remember when our summers were 75 degrees. I remember when there wasn't snow in San Francisco. So,
You mean
yeah,
when
that
there
might be
was
the next
snow in
CJ.
San Francisco?
There wasn't snow in San Francisco.
There isn't snow in San Francisco.
I know, but when you have massive climate change like this, your summers are going to get hotter, your winters are going to get colder. That's what the sea does. That's what a cool sea does. Is it moderates everything.
Is it?
It's like the Zoloft of the earth.
Because I feel like the way the climate has gone now is we've just gotten less cold.
We have gotten less cold,
Like
but
the Bay
in
Area.
cold places, it's gotten much colder.
Well, yeah, but like the Bay Area, it barely ever sees a rainy day, let alone a snowy day now.
Yeah, probably. I'm just kind of throwing it out there as I am not a climate scientist. That being said, that might be the next big sea change. Is a sea change.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So,
I like Bitter's
Gaslight.
made a
You and I
point.
from the same generation, you're just higher up on the totem pole. What do you mean totem pole?
I like Bitter's. God damn it! I'm trying to hit the.
I'm trying to hit something here too. God dang it! I'm trying.
No.
I want to do this one. With this one.
Bitter says that stuff from my childhood that didn't become cultural canon is almost gone, and that's true. Like the stuff that doesn't stick, like does disappear.
What's culture?
But
Tell me
you don't
cultural
even.
canon that didn't stick around. Because I mean, if you and I are the
Well,
same generation, we remember stuff that we had that wasn't cultural canon.
It's hard to remember because it's disappeared, because it's been forgotten.
It hasn't been forgotten. We lived through it. It's just that it's not being reiterated by younger generations. I mean, I remember my childhood. I remember what it was like. So it's not like I've forgotten anything.
But no, but like a thing you watched then that has never come up again has been forgotten by the larger culture.
Yeah, but if he brought something up that he remembers individually, I would be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but it's not part of the pop culture canon. That's what he means.
Right. And I'm wondering what are things that he remembers that aren't part of the pop culture canon that I would remember.
That'd be really tough to say.
For you, not for him or for me.
I mean, it's tough for anyone to. How do you remember what
like Thundar the Barbarian? Yeah. Thundar. See? Exactly. I remember Thundar. Abso-freaking-lutely. My favorite comic book when I was a kid was not the Yogi the Bear comic. It was Smokey the Bear comic. There were Smokey the Bear comics. No one cares, but I really freaking liked them.
This is fascinating. AC Wraith says, I've been amazed at how few people know Greek mythology anymore. People are watching Sandman and honestly thinking Morpheus is a Matrix reference.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, that was my reading book in school when I was a kid, was Greek mythology.
Well, see, Kratos is killing his way through the Norse gods now. So who's going to remember the Greek gods? They're already dead. He killed them all. They're passe. They're not cool anymore.
Can we do a podcast, please?
Thor is part of the Marvel universe. That means that the Norse gods are the hot shit now. No one.
I know they kind of
Greek
are.
Anymore.
Norse in, Greek out, Roman not even remembered at this point.
Oh yeah,
Roman's going to come back. It'll come back. Mesopotamian gods, yeah, we haven't even talked about them. All right, so we have me. Checkity check. I have waveforms. Do you?
Test. Checkity check.
Speak louder.
Hello. This is me. I'm talking.
Yep, we don't have you, and that is why I check.
What?
In fact, I don't even have that. It is set to the wrong thing. We want to set to... and this is why we check this shit. I don't have my virtual machine out. All right, you are up and running. I'm going to have to quit you now and restart you. No, I don't want to save it. Please just quit. Don't save the project. Wow, Audacity is being a real dick. Sorry, I don't have my right things. Why? Ooh. This is not good.
Izzy Ray says, I grew up reading the myths, having to read the Odyssey in school, and then having Herc Xena on WB. Yeah, I also read the Odyssey in school. That was
Yep.
like one of the best like English books that we read in school. Like it was just cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says Sleepy Kitty is sleepy, which yes, both Sleepy Kitties are sleepy. This is now Cat Watch. Watch them nap as Edie does technical shenanigans.
I do need to do some shenanigans here. My virtual devices are not showing up in Audacity. And Audacity keeps trying to clean up temp files.
No,
and I
I'm
don't want it
surprised
to.
no one has done like a reboot of Xena and Hercules. Like I know Kevin
Well, because
Sorbo
Kevin
went,
Sorbo went nuts.
yeah, but like he doesn't own the Hercules IP.
True.
Like how is
Because
someone
it'll
not
just give him attention because he was the original one. Yeah,
okay?
Xena was a lesbian goddess.
Yeah,
Really.
look,
Oh my
like,
god, she
how,
was
why is no one tried to
Xena. What was
Why
Xena's?
has
What was
Netflix-
Xena's sidekick's name?
I don't know. I never actually saw either of them. I never saw
Really?
Xena or Hercules.
Anybody I want to say? Bitters, you might know. Xena's
Like,
sidekick.
why has Netflix not tried to reboot Xena?
Who was your girlfriend? I'm gonna leave that open for the rest of you guys. Let's see. Yeah, she was a gay icon. All right. We have
It
that.
says her sidekick was Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle? Okay.
Gabrielle. What was who was the trickster? What was his name? He was hilarious.
Oh,
and was it what's his bucket
see,
from
Bitters has it right. Replace Kevin Sorbo with Hugh Jackman. Do like a reboot of old Hercules.
I'm all right with that. That would be
That'd
good.
be cool.
Okay, there we go. Finally, we've got our virtual devices up.
Auto Lewis. And then also AC Wraith is talking about nostalgia. And he says there were already multiple Transformers canons in the 80s. Many shows were based on the comics. G1 posers went a bit nuts with their movie hate. Like you can't leave a franchise for decades, not know its comics history, and then gatekeep.
Yep. Stand by.
Yeah. Oh, are we leaving? Oh.
Okay, good. Yes, we have correct mics, and we have waveforms for you and me. Can we start the show, please?
Sure. Transformers was also not something I never got into.
I didn't really get into Transformers either because Transformers, well, they were kind of after me. I think I was a little too old for Transformers by the time they came around. I knew what they were, but I wasn't at the age where I would like them anymore.
AC Wraith has another comment, but I don't want to bring it up because it's too good of a segue into what we've been playing. So right. We'll bring it up later.
Stand by, Len. Let's start the show. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 657. We are recording on Sunday, October 23rd, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers. We got Nick in the chat room. We have been talking nostalgia and its relative value.
And
And
we're talking about Xena, and AC Wraith brought up the fact that Ted Raimi was one of the best things about Xena. And we just happened to play a game with Ted Raimi in it.
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, we totally did. And I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
It is Halloween month. So
I didn't actually make a banner for it.
If you were watching, you got to hear me scream like a little bitch. Oh my God. We're playing The Quarry. And we're playing it together, which is interesting. It is multiplayer, but it's sort of not. In that, what's it called? Wolf Pack, where Nick is actually playing and he gets to make the decisions, but we are his pack and we can tell him how we'd prefer him to the decisions we'd prefer him to play. And then he can absolutely either take our advice or absolutely not. And he didn't. And I'm still angry about that.
Which time did I not? Oh, wait, of course, that time.
Which time?
When we left Max, was it to die?
Max. When Laura left Max in the basement.
Except if I remember correctly, you then ran a poll, and the majority of those polled sided with me.
Was that true? Did I run that poll? AC Wraith, you would remember. Did I run a poll that said that Nick was okay by running away? He was not. He was not.
It was more people agreed with me. In that situation, you make a book for it. You book it.
No.
AC Wraith says he was the only one that voted to stay.
God, so really?
I feel validated.
I'm never going on a road trip with you. I'm only taking AC Wraith because I'd like to know somebody's got my freaking back.
Look, I have your back until we go into until we go into a creepy basement and you get attacked by some kind of wild animal and are already like 75%
and I'm saying,
dead.
Don't leave me. And you're like, nope, I'm out. You're such an asshole. So we are going to be playing it again tonight, and it's going to be all bad. It's going to be I mean, we're just getting essentially what we watched was the prologue. And there was one really good scare that scared the crap out of me. And yes, there was quite a lot of screaming. But we're just, I think, at the point where we're going to have stuff happening. Like we've kind of gone through what my mom used to call window dressing. We've met all the characters. We've got the scenario. We know something is wrong and that the characters are being oblivious about it. And they're setting something up that is absolutely going to get one or more of them killed. Yeah. But they don't know it yet, but we do. Yeah. And so the tension is there and it's about to happen.
I've been trying to find a video of it.
What?
The Koi.
Oh, I'll pull that up for you. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that, honey. I got you.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were actually getting kind of bored beyond the spookiness of the prologue. And like I think that's intentional. Like this is the calm before the storm, where they want to introduce you to each character, introduce you to all the relationships. There are like 6 characters total, and each of them has a crush on someone else because these are teens, like late teens at summer camp. And so it's a lot of, oh, you like this person, how are you going to play that off? You like this person, how are you going to play that off?
Right.
And so it's a lot of character building like that. But I will say, like, this weekend, there was like a big streamathon from someone that I liked, and they played some of The Quarry. And I watched a little bit of it. and I saw there is some shit that happens.
Some shit about to go down.
Oh, geez. Like, you're like, oh, I wasn't that scared. It wasn't, not much happened. And boy, these people can die in some horribly bloody ways. Oh,
Oh.
they get so fucked up.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Ah.
so
That is all not good.
mhm.
So
And
see,
then Ted Raimi plays the creepy detective from the prologue, who I'm sure is going to come back later in the game.
oh yes. Oh yes, no question. Absolutely no question. We are going to see him bring, have that come back, and it's all not going to be a pretty sight.
Mhm.
I get the feeling that that Ted Raimi's character kind of starts out as being creepy intentionally to throw you off, but I have a feeling that he's going to be a good guy. And I
Oh yeah,
had a feeling at the beginning anyway, because they wouldn't make. No, he's not a villain. He's going to actually be saving people.
No, I think I mean, that was his whole thing with don't go into Hackett's Quarry, because he knew there was some,
There was something bad.
wolf-like creature running around during the full moon. I wonder what
Mhm.
that could be. Um, and no, he's just really creepy about it. But I mean, you saw it in the prologue. And what happened was he kind of knocked out the lady who ran away, and then he shot Max, who had been bitten by the werewolf.
Right.
Um, he's just trying to save people from the monsters, and he will save you by shooting you in the head.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. And it is kind of interesting that this couple that we're seeing here is Laura and Max, who don't make it past the prologue, and they get picked. They
Max
get mentioned in the regular story about counselors that didn't show up and flaked.
Max doesn't make it through the prologue.
I don't think Laura does either.
No, remember Laura got injected with something in her neck.
I think Laura didn't make it either.
No, I'm going to make this prediction now. Laura is chained up somewhere. She is a prisoner somewhere. But she's not dead.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Do you want to hear me screaming? Chat room.
Yeah.
I think this will absolutely share this with me. Let's see if we can get to the point of where I scream. Let's see. Okay, we're getting into it. And let's see. Here it is. Can we go back?
Let's
go back?
deeper.
Can we go
Let's
back?
go deeper.
Nick, can we go back, please? Please, let's go back.
Maybe it was a possum or something.
No, there was someone here, I swear.
Hey, it's been kind of a night, you know? Let's just get to the motel. We can come back here first thing in the morning. We can check everything out.
Here it comes.
I mean, you must be exhausted. I know I am.
The camera's panning back. Is there going to be something behind
I
him?
think our imagination.
Yeah, that was me losing my shit. So if you want to hear more of that, I recommend you watch tonight when we play. We're going to play about 8:00?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, about 8:00 we will be picking up. Like I said, we were at the point where we're going to be I'm going to be screaming a lot. Did you know that realized I screamed that much?
Oh yeah, like I heard you the first time.
Yeah.
I just thought it was fun. Like that's part of it. That's what you want.
I don't want this. I don't like this. I don't.
That's what I want.
I know it's what you want, but AC Ray said at least 2 movies where Ted Raimi is not a good guy: Evil Dead 2 and Skinner. So all right, I'll give you that. But I think he's a good guy in this one. And AC Ray says, Frel, he's the one who was drinking on the job and releases the Wishmaster. All right. Yeah, true. So anyway, that was the quarry, 8 o'clock tonight on Twitch. Please follow us, be there. We will be starting pretty much on time because everything is already loaded. The technological issues are not going to be there. So please join us. What else did you play, Nick?
I'm trying to. How do I share? Oh, there's share screen. Okay.
Is this your first time doing a podcast, Nick?
I feel like they changed the button at the bottom. It used to say share, now it says present.
No, it always said present.
Oh. Okay. Well, the other game I played was Scorn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you remember, this was the game that was shown off several months ago, maybe a year ago. It's the like HR Geiger-esque adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
And it has gotten a lot of notoriety for its like art style, justifiably so. Like, look at this.
It is
This
pretty.
It's a pretty world. It's nasty. It's just like holy shit. What is this place? Oh, come on. I'm trying to find where's the Okay, there's one bad dude. Oh yeah, like look at this desolate landscape for the purple haze. This game overall is incredibly disappointing.
Really?
The art style is incredible. It takes like all the best parts of H.R. Geiger and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like a Vladislav, who's another like Eastern European painter who made a bunch of super creepy paintings. And like this game captures the emotions in that art so effectively that just like walking around the world fills you with this like cosmic dread, looking at these things like what civilization used to be here. I I'm fascinated by it, but I also don't want to know because it's so fucked up that
Mm-hmm.
like anything you learn about them is sure to be bad. But that's good. Like that the art can fill me with that kind of grandiose horror is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then one of the first things you do in the game is
Yes.
this.
Oh, it's what is it? It's essentially you're a puzzle,
It's a
right?
block pushing puzzle.
Right.
They fucking ookie bookie spelookied me.
I did not know that we are what? That'd be a verb. We're a verb.
Mhm.
They ookie bookie spelookied it. Okay.
This incredibly unique, incredibly disturbing, incredibly like technically difficult achievement in art. And one of the first puzzles you come across is one of the most cliched and hated puzzle types in all the world.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this streamer has sped up his video to show him trying to get through this god awful puzzle tells you like how bad it is. It just puts the whole game off on the
Oh
wrong foot
God.
because like you start walking through this world and it's unknown, it's creepy, it's weird, and you're like, I kind of want to know what's going on here. What is this? What is this?
Please
And
tell me
then
that's not another one that you have to do.
no, see,
Okay.
the first thing you do, it's like, oh, good, I solved it. Thank God. Oh, whoops, now it falls apart. And now you have to get the other one, which is, of course, like harder and to get out.
Oh wow.
And it took me like a good 20-25 minutes of just pushing these blocks around, and nothing sucks the mystery and majesty out of a world than spending 20 minutes looking at a goddamn wall trying to figure out how to move blocks around. Like
God.
all of a sudden, and so to the game's credit, a lot of the later puzzles are not as like horribly frustrating. a lot of the later puzzles do a better job of using the environment in interesting ways, using like items in interesting ways, but none of it really elevates itself above the hole that the bushing puzzle starts it off in.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems with Scorn is that it's a it's not a like big open world, but the world is big enough that you spend a lot of time running around. And so what eventually happens is that you enter an area, and it's like a big area. And the way the puzzles work, nothing is explained. You get no text or any explanation of what does what. So a lot of what the puzzle is figuring out what to do and then figuring out how to do it. So in order to figure out what to do, you enter an area, a new area, and you kind of look around for anything that's interactive. Is there a button here? No. Go to the next room. Is there a button here? Yes. Push it. A crane moves. And you're like, okay, I will need to put something on that crane, but I don't know what it is. Let's go to another room, another button. A crane moves. You're like, okay, let's go to another room. Is there a button here? No. Let's go to another room. Is there a button here? Yes. A rail moves. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm making progress. Let's go to another room. And it's just a slow and tedious process of like pushing every button you see and then hoping that one of them triggers something and you're like, oh, this gives me an egg. Now I can put that egg on a cart. I can move the rails to get the cart working. I can push the cart along, use the crane to scoop them out. And it's like, okay, now I know what to do. But the process of getting there is so tedious that not only some of the puzzles are okay, but some of the puzzles are also just like the block pushing puzzle, kind of cliched. And so you have this truly majestic world that is just constantly undercut by either cliched puzzles or really, really tedious puzzle solving in a way that robs the world of like all of the horror that it should have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just super disappointing. And I got to about halfway to the chapter 3, which is where combat starts. And boy, you want to know another way to rob the mystery and horror of your world? Shitty combat will do it.
Really?
You go up against these creatures that can spit at you from a distance, but the only thing you have at your disposal is basically a melee weapon. It's like a little piston that shoots out. And so you are constantly having to close the distance with an enemy that is faster than you, more nimble than you, and does a shockingly amount of damage to you. I fought one little creature, tried to strafe around it. It hit me once and killed me. And then I had to restart the level. And I thought, no, I'm not doing this.
So it finally just beat you and said, beat you down, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yes,
walk
if
away.
it was just tedious puzzle solving, the world is interesting enough that I would have played it with the walkthrough open
Mm-hmm.
to get through it. But the moment like I encountered the awful combat, the combat
Right.
that doesn't feel good with enemies that aren't interesting, and a checkpointing system that basically reset everything, I can't force myself to go through something that miserable. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, the world is really, really great. And I would like to keep some positive memories of that world. And like forcing myself to play through something like that would only sully what the game does well. And so
Right.
what I ended up doing is just watching a playthrough on YouTube. And sure enough, like the world goes to some interesting places. The final level is very different. And it's like, this is like a weird and interesting world. And I think it would have worked a lot better as like a first person walker, something like Gone Home or Dear Esther or Tacoma, something from the Fulbright Company. You know those type of games.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, where the gameplay is about exploring a world and discovering things about it, rather than trying to fill it with terrible cliched puzzles. I
Right.
think it wants to be more inside, but the thing about inside is because it was a 2D platformer, like all the puzzles were pretty tightly contained. But you encounter an obstacle, and the solution to that obstacle is usually like right around you. You don't have to spend 30 minutes running around a world to find the solution. And that's what makes Inside and Limbo work as kind of horror puzzle games, is because you're able to solve the puzzles fast enough that it doesn't serve as a detriment to the horror. But the
Mhm.
same can't be said for Scorn.
Yeah. AC Ray said, I've heard reviews are mixed and people either love it or hate it. And that was what in game chat said, at least. Metacritic seems to have a lot in the middle. The game looked more combat oriented in some of the trailers. People seem
Mhm.
disappointed that it turns out to be a short puzzle game.
The combat is not good enough to sustain itself any longer than it already has.
Yep. He says, that's what I've heard as well. Lose the combat. It's terrible. And he also said, Nick is me watching a movie over halfway through last night and then choosing to read the Wikipedia summary instead.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to play it anyway because it's just not my cup of tea. But
Yeah. It should be my cup of tea, but boy,
yeah, it
just
looks like you written all over it.
yeah. And I was interested in it, but boy, yeah, it did nothing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So any other games that you played?
Not really.
Okay.
I downloaded A Plague Tale Requiem, the
Mhm.
sequel to A Plague Tale Innocent, and I'm hoping to get to that this week because I've heard good things about it. And that game, the first one, Innocence, is like a real underrated adventure game. Like
Mhm.
super good. And so I'm looking forward to like a bigger version of that.
Mhm. I'm still playing Crusader Kings.
Oh, I did try to watch videos of that guy playing Terra
Terra
Invicta,
Invicta. Mhm.
but I don't think he's a very good streamer.
Why do you say that?
Because he kind of explained nothing about the game.
No, yeah, I mean, it's he's
And
playing
so
the whole game through. He's learning the game as you're playing. He
but
essentially is it's him playing.
but he's not like talking through anything. And so it's just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And I keep thinking, well, like, why? Why are you doing that? Why is this happening? Why are you doing this? And then something happened, and it's like, what? Why is any of this going on? And what threw me off is, I guess, which he didn't explain, is you're not actually playing as the civilization. You're playing as like the Illuminati. That
You are playing as a sort of like the Illuminati, and then you decide what kind of faction you want to be when it becomes an issue. Like
and that
I think
just
yeah.
it threw me off that he's like, oh, I have Bob over in England, and Bob is doing stuff in England. I'm like, well, hey, who the fuck is Bob? Why is Bob in England? Why? What
You
is Bob
you
doing
must
in
have
England?
jumped in the middle of the stream because at the
I
beginning, the
watched.
very first one, he does explain like those are his agents and these agents he's recruited and
Yeah,
what
but I'm
their
like,
skills are.
but I'm like, agents to what? And why are they there? What are the skill? What does any of this mean? It felt like the first time I tried to play Crusader Kings 2 after spending 2 hours in the tutorial and then booting up the game and going, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's kind of what
I
he's doing. It's
it's like I
exactly where he is. You should see
but
when he actually gets into space combat. He's like, I have no idea how any of this works. I'm building ships that I don't really understand.
like I think it's an interesting game. I want someone to talk through their thought
Yeah.
process more instead of just saying what they're doing, because he just
Yeah.
says what he's doing, and it didn't help me at all. understand it.
It may be Perrin might be a better one. I don't know. I've never watched Perrin, who is the one that was that guy that we've talked about him before, that he was a strategy game streamer with a very niche community, and then he started doing these analyses of the Ukrainian war,
Mm.
like essentially hour-long PowerPoints, and he's been doing them consistently, and immediately he shot up from like 5,000 views per episode to like 500,000 views per episode. So yeah, he's still smattering his game through it, but really his bread and butter is very much these long, very research heavy PowerPoints. Anyway, but yeah, I'm playing Crusader Kings, and I'm probably gonna. I haven't actually even booted up the new computer. It's sitting there on that table right there behind me.
Wow.
And I have yet to boot it up, just because it was a really, really busy week at work. It was our big partnership meeting, like every partner in the company. And we're talking about thousands of partners in the company, all down in San Diego. And I was not, but I had to support them from here. So thank you for the link to Perrin. So anything else before we go to news? I know I don't have much games, and you know what else I don't have? I don't have any news because I got hijacked. And thank you for noting in the chat that that printers, to be fair, printers suck. No, my printer is fine. I've got a really nice printer. I like my printer a lot, but my neighbor does not have a color printer, and he's filing for a grant. That the grant application is due tomorrow, and he needed to have things put together. And of course, I looked at his application, and it was not formatted well, to say the least. And I could not just print it. I had to go through it.
See,
and
that's
fix the formatting errors.
That's why you're like, I can't let you do this to yourself. I need to help you out more. You could have also been a good neighbor to just go there and be, I'm going to print this out and look at it and go, oh, this is terrible. But you know what? Not my problem. I'm just going to put this on some paper and walk away. But
I cannot do that to a friend. This is a coworker. Fuck yes. Friend, no. At work, I would absolutely, I might say to them, you might want to check the formatting before. I mean, here, I'll print it for you, but you should probably examine the printing, and I'm happy to reprint it once you've rechecked the formatting. Philip, I'm absolutely going to fix all the format errors, and I'm going to read it for typos and find typos, and then I'm going to actually, make it, put all the different documents that he wanted me to print separately all into a single document. So all he has to do is print it himself. If he needs to send it to somebody, he doesn't have to send 16 files. He can sell one. Just, yeah. Sorting it all out. That's exactly what I did. So of course that took until just about.
You basically did my job. What I do.
Yeah, this is exactly what I love to do. People send me fucked up files, and I unfuck it for them, and then send it back to them and tell them, and by the way, don't send them the Microsoft Word version, send them a PDF version so they don't fuck it up. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's why PDFs were invented.
You're the unfucker.
I am the unfucker. So I had to unfuck for somebody. So that's why I don't have any news. But Nick has news, and that's what's important. So are we ready for it?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary from Gamer and Dina Cola. And our first item is...
Again, every single time you do that with the noise going, your voice like goes in and out like it.
It doesn't show up like that. I think that's your headset, not mine.
Maybe. Anyways, well, last week we talked about how the visual voice actress for Bayonetta, was no longer in the game, and she was calling for boycotted games, saying, Platinum. I think that's the developer. Only offered her $4,000 for the entire role. And she's like, "That's not a living wage. I'm not going to do this." And
This is
so
Helena Taylor.
yes, and they replaced Helena Taylor with Jennifer. Oh my God, what's her name? Jennifer Hale.
Hale. All I could think of was Gardner. It's like, no.
um, which is weird because like Jennifer Hale is a bigger name in voice acting than Helen Taylor, so you would think like, well, she's not going to take a non-living wage.
Yeah. In
And
fact, we
so-
mentioned how Helena Taylor had kind of called out Jennifer Hale for taking the role from, not say from her, but picking it up when she had turned it down because of the low pay. And called it a bit of a betrayal. And we had said that that's a little shade thrown at Jennifer Hale. We will have to see what happens from that, because it's not the end. It was definite tea spilling. So yeah.
And what happened then is Jennifer Hale tweeted out a message that wasn't really anything. She's under NDA. She's not going to break NDA. And she just said, like, I support voice actors. But Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg.
Well, she said, I support voice actors, and I was not made aware of any of what
Any
of the
preceding
situation.
drama. Yeah.
Anything in the preceding drama when I accepted the part. And that I think I stand by my history as an advocate for voice actors and a member of, and I take very seriously my role in this community. And immediately voice actors from everywhere tweeted back like saying, hey, she obviously can't say much more because she's under NDA, but we will say this: Jennifer Hale is absolutely a sterling member of this community, and it is not in her wheelhouse that we are aware of. It would be very out of character for her to sabotage something intentionally or to betray someone intentionally. She is actually a huge advocate for voiceover actors.
And so Jason Schreier did some digging, or someone went to him. And what he found was later corroborated by the Video Games Chronicle. That Platinum Games actually offered to pay her about $3,000 to $4,000 per recording session, for a total of like at least 5 recording sessions. So a total of at least $15,000.
$15,000, right?
At the minimum, right?
Mhm.
Because
Right.
if they offered to pay her between 3 and 4, then sources then also told Bloomberg that Helena Taylor did not want this, and that she requested a 6-figure fee as well as residuals. And Platinum said no. And Taylor basically said, nope, this is a lie, an absolute lie. They are just trying to save their
hold on a
ass
second.
and the game.
That Taylor, here's what Jason Schreier's, according to sources that he deemed reliable, they said that he was offered multiple sessions at $3,000 to $4,000 per session, which would be
Yes.
above scale, union scale. And that when she turned it down after her counter offer, when she went to the game producer, Hideki Miyama, and said, and that's when she said she made her plea to him, he returned with an offer that she would do a cameo role, that she would not come back because she's not going to come back as Bayonetta, because we're not going to pay her that price to come back as Bayonetta. But that they invited her to come back in a cameo role for $4,000 flat fee, which would have been a very short, like less than a full day or one day. And the way that she characterized it in her video was that she was being offered $4,000 for the whole show.
Yeah, for the entire job.
Instead of like, maybe she was offered more, turned it down, and then offered $4,000 for the cameo role, and that she kind of didn't really make that entirely clear. Now, we don't know whose side is right, but yes, that's when she went to Jason Schreier, or Jason Schreier's article came out. That's when she said, It's a lie, and there's nothing more that I want to do than put this bloody show behind me."
Well, yes, which I will say, it's always a little suspicious when someone comes out and is like, "I was wronged. I want you to boycott this game. I'm just trying to put this behind me now. I don't want to think about this anymore." It's like you did a hard 180 there. Like you just U-turned like
Right.
a race car driver.
You were the one that brought it up. If you can show that that is a lie, then
Mhm.
please do. But it's on you now. That we've got this other
And it also
information.
explains why a company that, you know, oh, they were not going to pay her much money at all, and then got a bigger named voice actress?
Mhm.
Like, how does that work? Now we know how it works out is that they were actually paying a pretty reasonable rate.
Mm. Well, it's an interesting situation, and it's almost unfortunate because something that I don't think, if you focus on just this situation, you kind of miss the forest for the trees. What assuming this is an assumption that what Bloomberg has put out was correct. I don't know. The fact that Jason Schreier says it doesn't make it necessarily fact.
No, but Vice Ravana has a good point that Schreier is usually pretty reliable. And
Schreier is
he
usually
checks
pretty
his sources,
reliable. He
and
checks his sources.
his story was also collaborated. No,
Corroborated.
corroborated by another source.
Totillo.
So it's really not a good look. And Vice Ravana continues that it really makes me wonder what her game plan was with all
Right.
of
Well,
this.
here's the forest that needs to be talked about, and unfortunately, I think that she might, if assuming that Bloomberg is 100% correct, and there is no other context to the story, um, what she might have been trying to do, and what she asked for, if that was what she asked for, was six figures um and points. That's pretty standard in every single voiceover industry except video games.
Is it?
Yes. Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely.
Six.
In fact, was part of the not IATSE, the Screen Actors Guild. That whole Screen Actors Guild strike that happened a few years ago, one of the ways that they got it to be settled was the Screen Actors Guild came in with an ask for points, and especially, I should say, it's a standard for known people that are coming back for a reprise of a role that they know is successful. But that's what the Screen Actors Guild did, is when they had their strike a few years ago, the bargaining chip that they used to get an agreement was that they dropped the ask for video games. Video game voiceovers notoriously get screwed over compared to other voiceovers for like animation or anything else. Animated movies, absolutely. Animated television shows, animated movies, cartoons, everything
I mean,
all get paid more. And
okay,
it is a
okay.
standard.
I will say pay more, but I will fight you on six figures. Someone voicing
They
an
might get
afternoon cartoon now is not going to get six figures. Now, Chris Pratt is going to get six figures for Mario because it's Chris Pratt. But even like Laura Bailey doing a voice for any number of animated shows is not going to get six figures. It's
right.
not going to get
But we're talking about
$100,000.
no. If you're mixing your metaphors.
No,
Yes,
six figures for a
on
job.
Yes.
One job.
Yes.
$100,000 for
An
one job.
animated Pixar movie? Fuck yes.
Only because Pixar movies often cast A-list actors already.
Pixar movies do cast
I
A-list movies.
guarantee you, if they cast a B-list actor or a C-list actor or just, God forbid, a voice actor, they're not getting six figures.
I will tell you this. General Grievous got more than six figures.
For the Clone Wars TV show?
Not for the TV show, for the movie. And for the TV show too. The movie, but I'm talking about just his first thing. He got more than six figures. And they get points.
So,
that's where
points make up a lot. I will say points are important.
And that, in fact, all you have to do is go back. I mean, this is not a new conversation that has been happening. This has been a conversation that's been going on since what? Since Grand Theft Auto 3 came out. The guy that played Nico Bellic made $100,000 on that role back then. And that was considered a lot for video games. However, it was pointed out, and he pointed out, that had it not been a video game, had it been a television show or a movie or something else that required a voiceover of that scale, of that magnitude, and made that much money, because remember, video games make more than movies. Video games make more than movies. For a game of that scale that sold that much, if that had been a movie, he would have made millions, not $100,000.
I don't think that's an apples to. I think that's an apples to orange comparison.
Feel free to go back and read articles; they're all there.
No, like
I'm not making this shit up off the top of my head.
No,
this was an argument that's been going on since, what was that? 2012, 2007.
Yeah.
That happened.
He. I know that he did make that much, but I'm saying like. The games industry makes more money than the movie industry.
A successful game makes more than a successful movie. Grand Theft Auto makes more than just about any movie ever made.
See, that's where the apples to orange comparison comes in. You picked one of the longest, biggest selling games of all time and compared it to the average movie.
I would compare it to a lot. It didn't Grand Theft Auto make more than any movie in history up until that point? Like, it was the biggest piece of media. Maybe? I believe.
Like, I know it sold a lot, but like the thing is, games also take a lot longer to make.
You're making a lot of arguments, absolutely, that make perfect sense. There's a lot more games that are made out there. That being said, that doesn't change the amount of work that goes into the voice actors. This is all we're talking about, Nick, is the voice actors.
Okay.
And voice actors in video games, and you can challenge me all you want, but I recommend you do some research, because everybody is saying this. Everybody's been saying this, including Jason Schreier in his article, that in general, video games actors are paid substantially less than voiceover actors for almost all other media, including movies and animation. They are paid way lower because SAG screwed them up, screwed them over, because they were a bargaining chip in the last SAG strike.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. I'm not disputing that.
So what I'm saying is that it is getting back to the article. What I'm saying is that it is a shame that this argument is coming up in the context of this event, because if the Bloomberg article is right, if Schreier is right, Helena Taylor did no one any favors for exactly this reason, that you and I are actually arguing about facts, because Helena Taylor brought it up and may have tweaked her narrative. If you're going to make lied, maybe lied, maybe tweaked. Who's to know who's lying right now? Are you telling me that Jason Schreier is so perfect he could never be manipulated?
No, but that's
What's a
going to the
really good
extreme.
way
That's
to
a
make
straw
sure
man.
your lie becomes
That's a
canon
straw man
truth?
argument.
I know.
I'm not arguing that
I'm
he's
not saying that
infallible.
he's lying. I'm just saying
I think if you look
mistakes
I
can
think
be made.
if you look at the facts of this story as they exist,
Right.
it looks like Helena Taylor
It looks
did
like
not
Helena Taylor.
get what she wanted, whined about it on Twitter, and then when the truth came out, has shut up and scurried back.
Right. And what she wanted was not an unheard of thing for other actors and other media. And it may have been that she stood her ground because that's what she wanted to do. But that was a shitty way to do it because it not only undermines her and wrecks her career, but it also undermines a very valid argument about voice acting.
True.
That's all I was trying to say.
So basically, she fucked everyone over, including herself.
She fucked everyone over in this. If what looks to be true is true, and there's no other context, absolutely, she fucked everybody on this. And it is an argument. It is starting to happen a little bit more, but not in the right way. It's got this ugly shade on it that maybe the argument was brought up because of a lie.
Mm-hmm. Has someone who likes voice acting in games, it is a tricky thing because unlike animation and movie, a game can exist without the voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Like several games do because they just can't afford it. You can just have text pop up on screen and that's it.
Right.
And so it's a very tricky thing to then try to judge the worth in a game like Bayonetta that's very cinematic and wants to imitate movies. Yes, you really need that voice actor.
And in a known quantity. When Bayonetta 1 came out, they didn't know if it was going to be a hit. It's, made
No, but they was
$450 million since then, and they know Bayonetta 3 is going to sell.
But they was still, Bayonetta has always actually been a weirdly niche game.
Yeah.
It actually hasn't sold super well.
$450 million.
Where'd you get that number? I've seen that Bayonetta barely sold 1 million copies.
If Bayonetta 1 and 2 made $450 million. All right, I will say this. That is what Helena Taylor said in her thing. Now, maybe she made that up too, but I haven't seen anybody argue that that's not true. And you'd think if she quoted some wrong number like that, that someone else would say, oh, no, it hasn't. I didn't check those facts, but I would assume that somebody would have checked that fact if she just came out and flatly said no. But that is her argument.
At this point,
she said this game
source of
has made more than $450 million, and I was just asking for what I was worth. That was her argument. So, bottom line is this story got a lot deeper and a lot more unfortunate. And it looks like right now that Helen Taylor not only fucked herself over and fucked over Miyama, but also fucked over the rest of the game community because she might have lied about what went down, even if her argument was a solid argument that needed to be had. So, yeah, that got ugly. Super ugly, super fast. Are you looking up $450 million?
Mm-hmm.
Thrilling, Nick. Great audio.
I've not seen any. There's people discussing the number on Game FAQs. There's stories about Bayonetta, like finally breaking 1 million sales. Oh wait, here's clearing up misconception. Oh no, that's that. Full Bayonetta sales aren't public, but it is niche. Bayonetta 2 on Switch sold less than 1 million. Oh, about 1 million. Lower than most Nintendo games.
Well, Instead of doing all the research during the show, let's move on to the next item.
Anyway, point is, Bayonetta.
This is not the last of this argument. This is
No.
not the last that we are going to hear of this story at all.
But Bayonetta is not like. Bayonetta is not in the upper echelons of money making games.
No,
It is a cult game, and like there's a lot of passionate fans about it, but it's not like up there. It is a niche cult favorite.
True, it's a niche cult game. I agree with you there, but it doesn't mean that voice actors in video games should be paid less than
No,
voice
I'm
actors
just
in
I'm
other
just saying
places.
I'm just saying I don't think it made $450 million.
We'll figure that out. How about this? Why don't you research that? Not during the show.
Yeah.
Next item.
Oh shit, where do we go from there? There was in good news,
Mhm.
Konami is back making games. Well, actually, no, they're not making games.
Fuck Konami.
Konami had a Silent Hill showcase over the past week.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus, I'm trying to find. Yes, well, they announced a whole bunch of stuff from 0 Silent Hill games for the past like 10 years to like we have 3 games coming out and a movie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this stuff, like as I'm watching it, part of
Mhm.
it feels like, oh, this is just Konami milking the cow, right? This is just them milking what they can. But you know what's also true? The Silent Hill franchise has gone ignored for so long. This milking is kind of overdue.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So what they announced is a remake of Silent Hill 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big budget from the ground up remake of the second game from Bloober Team.
Mm-hmm.
Bloober Team is known for making a bunch of indie horror games. They made The Medium, which is basically a Silent Hill game, a couple years ago. And it has long been rumored that they are working on a Silent Hill game. As someone who does not like pretty much everything Bloober Team has ever made,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at least glad to see them working on a remake, because that kind of limits the creative decisions they can make. I don't think a lot of their creative decisions are good. So, like, forcing them to work within an existing framework of a good game, I think that could help.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might actually force them to make a game I like instead of doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So cautiously optimistic about that. Also, like when I say that Konami is milking Silent Hill, what I really mean is they're milking Silent Hill 2, because they also announced a new movie from the director of the first movie, Christopher Gans,
Mm-hmm.
that is basically a movie version of Silent Hill 2. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. You're telling me you're going to make a movie based on that game while also remaking that game. So
Mhm.
you're just going to do that same game over twice?
Yeah.
You know what? Sure. Like, give it to me. I really like Silent Hill 2. It's a great game. Fucking do it. Like, you're milking it, but you know what? This milking has been long overdue.
Here's a question,
Okay.
and I will put this out that we have been saying as a community for quite some time, fuck Konami,
Mhm.
because of the way they treat their people, because of the way they treat their producers, because of the fact that they're more interested in fucking pachinko games than they are in actually making games. They seem to be not only stupid but heartless and mean, just mean, and disrespectful. Do we care enough to have that taint the fact that they are putting out Silent Hill? I mean, it's one thing for us to say fuck Konami, It's a whole different thing for us to say we don't care about Silent Hill. Like, does it really matter if we say fuck Konami if we don't actually act like fuck Konami?
That's a grand debate, but what I think is like in a note of these games' favor is that Konami is not developing them. These are
Right.
not in-house projects. They are doing what everyone thought they would do when they basically got out of the games business, is that, hey, you still have a bunch of these IPs that people love. Just give those IPs to someone else who would do something with it. And they didn't for
Mhm.
like a solid 5 years. Like when did Metal Gear Solid 5 come out?
Oh, it's longer than that.
8
It's much
years?
longer. It's got to be. Yeah. When did Metal Gear Solid come
But
out?
like since then, they've kind of just been sitting on like their treasure trove of IP and not doing anything with it. And now what they're doing is they're actually
2015. So 7 years.
wow. So yeah, now what they're doing is they're doing what everyone said they should do, which is just give these IPs to companies that will do something interesting with them because we know you don't want to. And
Mhm.
what's playing on the screen now is one of those other games. If you could like back up a couple of seconds. Silent Hill Townfall is a new game from No Code, which is the indie developer behind Stories Untold and Observation, both of which were actually really, really good indie, like suspense, psychological thriller games.
Mhm.
And so knowing them, they are doing something with Silent Hill is really cool because that developer has shown a skill and a passion for this type of thing. And I think they could bring something really interesting
Annapurna
to
would
it.
do a really good job with us.
Mm-hmm. So they also announced something from I forget the name of the company, but it's J.J. Abrams is behind it, which basically sounds like a Silent Hill version of The Quarry. They talk a big deal about like, oh, okay, this part of the video is them talking about the movie. Yeah, which I will say, the first Silent Hill movie, it's not a great movie. It's debatable whether it's even a good movie. But you know what that movie is? That movie's creepy as fuck.
Mhm.
Like the director of that movie directs the goddamn hell out of it. It is so well directed and like in a good, like fucked up, creepy way. So knowing that he's coming back for Silent Hill 2, I am happy. I don't know if it's going to be a good movie. Chances are it'll be perfectly mediocre, but it will at least look really, really cool.
Mhm.
So again, cautiously optimistic. Then the other game that they announced, they didn't have any footage of it. Townfall, they at least had a little teaser of. The other one, I think it was Silent Hill Ascension, was like that's the Quarry like interactive thing. They made a point about um how, oh, you will make decisions as a community and change the canon of the game, something like that. And they talked a whole big thing about, oh, it's interactive. We see what streamers are doing with it, blah blah blah. And it basically sounds like, oh, it's has Dusk Falls, right? Where the community can get involved and change the plot of the story. It's the Quarry. And you know what? That's a cool idea for a Silent Hill game.
Mhm.
So, like, this is Konami doing what Konami itself could never have done. Give the IP to different developers that would do interesting different things. No Code is sure to do something that's not just a third-person survival horror game. Bloober Team makes third-person survival horror games, and they're going to make the remake. Whatever. Have like a choose-your-own-adventure style Silent Hill game? Cool. Then the other thing they announced was basically like Silent Hill in feudal Japan.
Really?
That's at the very, very end. There's a teaser for it. And it's like a whole bunch of weird, creepy mushrooms growing out of this lady. Maybe skip ahead a little bit. Okay, yes, this is it. This is it. And this is codenamed Silent Hill F. And it is developed by basically a guy behind a bunch of popular Japanese horror visual novels. And so having a developer of visual novels make a creepy ass Silent Hill game, again, really, really cool, really different, giving the IP in the hands of people who are going to do some weird, strange shit with it. That's cool. And it speaks, it's cool because, like I said, Konami themselves would never do this.
Mhm.
If they were still developing something in-house, we would get another third-person horror game. Another third-person horror game. And they made a bunch of those. A lot are better than others. But seeing them go in like this kind of wildly different directions,
Mhm.
or at least what seems right now to be wildly different directions,
Yeah. By the
is
way,
really
flowers, not mushrooms. They were chrysanthemums. I
okay.
was gonna
Yes,
mention that.
flowers.
Yeah.
That's really heartening and like gives me a lot of excitement for the franchise because it's not just more of the same. It's like, oh, there's actually something interesting and different going on here.
Mhm.
So I think that would be interesting. And if it turns out that these have gone in wildly different directions, that I think is deserving of praise for a company that's willing to basically see, yo, we can't do this shit by ourselves. We don't want to do the shit by ourselves. So let's give it to other people and have them do it for
Right.
us.
Right.
And to basically acknowledge their own limitations like that.
Right. Well, I mean, to that point, Konami, when they said, fuck Shigeru
Kojima?
Miyamoto, forget
Kojima.
for Kojima, Hideo Kojima, fuck Hideo Kojima, we're going to essentially screw him over for a year and a half and essentially just beat him down. And then to say, yeah, we're not going to make these games. We're going to make pachinko games. And now, 7 years later, after a number of fails on their parts and dwindling sales, now they're going to go, yeah, all right, let's just, throw that out there. We need some cash. Cash grab. You said
Yeah.
it before. It is absolutely a cash grab.
And the thing is, if it
That
was,
being said, there's a
if it was,
cynicalness to
if
it.
it was just a remake of Silent Hill 2,
Mhm.
then that would be a cash grab that it like speaks to my nostalgic, sick little Silent Hill loving heart, and that's a cash grab. But to then branch out in all of these other weird directions, that is less of a cash grab.
Yeah.
That is more, okay, let's actually do something worthwhile with this IP.
But there is that taste left in the mouth of a lot of people and more than just like, bleeding heart liberals like me, like the general population. Case in point, Vice says, I can only speak for myself. I care a lot about Silent Hill, but I hate Konami a lot more than I like Silent Hill. I am one vindictive bastard. If it was
That's
up to
fair.
me, the whole company would crash and burn and someone competent would get the IPs. I don't trust Konami as far as I can piss against the wind, even if it's not in-house.
And that's fair. Like I said,
And these are the kind of things that I would say because, I'm a bleeding heart liberal and, I'm always shooting for the underdog and I care about this, really, really care about this stuff. Most people really, really don't. And the fact that Vice, who I'm not saying that you're not, a nice person or like tenderhearted,
no, fuck
but
you,
the fact
Vice.
that there's somebody
You're a
else that's
terrible
actually
person.
saying the things that I would normally say, that gives you a sense that I'm not the only ones, me and James, Stephanie Sterling aren't the only ones screaming, this is a bad idea.
Yes. And like, here's the thing. There's a wealth of an emotional spectrum of reactions from fuck Konami to give me all of this.
Right.
Right? Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about all these things. It feels like the parts of it that do feel the most like a cynical cash grab, or
Is
at
the remake.
least is the remake and the movie,
Mhm.
but at least they're attempting something with that feels they're investing enough resources into that, getting Blooper Team, which has made these type of games before, even if they're not my cup of tea, getting the original director who like didn't write it, bad written plot, but well directed. Like
Mhm.
they're investing enough resources into the cash grabs to make them feel like, okay, let me see where this goes. And then, like I said, they're going off enough interesting directions that I'm cautiously optimistic about all these directions. That doesn't mean I still want to give Konami enough rope to hang itself with, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you
We'll
all
watch
this.
him. I don't
Yeah,
trust him, but I'll watch him.
I'm going to give you all this rope.
Yeah.
And you know what? You just might make a rope ladder, not a noose.
Yeah.
I,
True.
it's like watching it and going, you know what? They just might get out of this pit. I don't know if I would make a bet on it, but they could get out of this pit. They might make a lasso and throw it up against the tree.
Or as AC Wraith,
Hmm.
they might make pachinko games based on their game.
Oh, sure.
Pachinko machines based on their game.
Yeah. But like I said, to go from Zero Silent Hill to open the floodgates and then to a lot of the floodgates being like kind of weird offshoots that are like, oh, the developer of Stories Untold is making a Silent Hill game? Interesting. They're making
AC
a
Wraith says
choose your own adventure?
all allow developers to spend Konami's money.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
I wouldn't put it for past Konami for all those developers to work on that game and then to screw them out of the money.
and that's one of the things that we will have to see how it turns out. But as of this moment right now, it's like this feels like a good step in a better direction.
Yeah. No,
It's like,
I
okay,
will say this. I don't like horror games.
hmm
I loved Silent Hill. In fact,
really?
Silent Hill is the reason why I don't like horror games because Silent Hill fucked me up. Oh God, Kevin and me. Wow. Just like both of us scarred from that game. So, I am probably not as excited as most, but I'm certainly excited at the concept of a Silent Hill game just because of the nostalgia of the fact that that was the one that broke me.
Hmm.
That being said, I'm with Vice. I am not going to do this because
Also,
of fuck Konami. If you're gonna talk the talk, like all those people who sat in that audience when Kojima couldn't come and pick up his Game of the Year award and said fuck and chanted fuck Konami in the background. You don't get to say fuck Konami and then buy a Silent Hill game from them. I don't care who's making it. You don't get to do that. Nick is in serial sneeze. How many was that? 8? 4. Only 4?
like 4 or 5? I don't know.
Okay, 5.
But Vice makes a good point, and he says, granted, my over the past years, my hate for Konami hasn't exactly dwindled, but companies like Activision Blizzard kind of moved the goalposts in a way.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you that. I'll
Konami
give you
still
that.
sucks, but is just by now we've heard so much.
Yeah, all right. I will grant you that one. Is that they were the worst then. They're nowhere near the worst now. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm-
like I said, it's
these
like-
games to make me interested in what in to make me actually play one. And I mean even over Game Pass. I'm gonna have to have a really, really good argument. A really good argument.
Yeah, or just like an interview with the developers that says like, "Oh yeah, Konami actually treated us better."
No.
No,
No.
not if there were stories about them being like, "Oh yeah, we actually did do better."
No. That's like saying, "Oh, I stopped. I'm not beating my new wife."
My old wife deserved it.
Right. My old wife. Oh yeah, I beat the crap out of her. But the new one, I'm totally a nice guy. You don't get a pass until you own up to what you did. So yeah. I mean, the argument would have to be that it'd have to be a mind-numbingly great game. It would have to be a near perfect game for me to even consider it. insert insert South Park "We Are Sorry" meme. Yep, exactly. That is what we're going to need in order for me to forgive Konami to the point of where I'd want to play a Silent Hill game in the future.
But yeah. Anyways, like neat games announced. I'm actually looking forward to what they have to show.
I'm curious. I'm curious to no doubt about that. Am I enthusiastic? Jury's still out on that one. So I'm going to actually bring my one and only article since we've already kind of hit the, the other stuff. It's sort of, I probably should be thrown in the like farther down in the list of stuff to talk about, but it is my one game, and of course now I can't bring up this is why this is why I don't do things the way Nick does things, is because he just brings up tabs and fills up everything with tabs. This is why I actually do my stuff beforehand.
You say that as you stretch for time while you try to get your story ready.
Yeah, of course. This is called being a professional, Nick.
You know what? I could go into a story right now.
No, I've got it.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, there has been.
Nope. I got it. Did you delete my?
I didn't delete.
Oh, we got it. There we go. All right. So here's an article. Here's something that's actually more of a PSA.
Okay.
Do you, Nick, use your console, your gaming console, to stream movies and anime? For example, like Netflix or any other like stuff?
No.
Okay, good, because I used to do that, especially with I think it was the 360. Yeah, it was 360.
I did it with the 360 all the time until smart TVs came out.
Right. One, because smart TVs came out, and two, because back with the PlayStation or with the 360, you could actually, in the Kinect, if you didn't have the camera, you could actually tell it to stop playing Netflix or start playing Netflix by voice, which worked beautifully.
It worked cool unless your Kinect was like a little too close to the TV speakers, and then you're like, oh shit, I have to shout over the TV.
Yeah. And one of the last gifts that Kevin gave me was an Apple TV device. And I said, well, I don't need an Apple TV device. I have Apple TV on my two consoles. Both of them have Apple TV available. I wish Kevin was around so I could say the three little words that mean so much in a marriage. I was wrong. If you use your console for streaming, you might want to rethink this. Especially for things like Netflix, Disney Plus that are probably on your television or Chromecast or something else. There is a new report from Flat Panels HD that suggests that video streaming on these next-gen consoles, we're talking about the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, consume significantly more power to stream compared to other streaming devices like Google Chromecast or Apple TV.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense because you're turning on the console.
Right. But that did not surprise me when I read that headline. And then I read the actual numbers. And that is where it gets really, really concerning. For example, if you try to, if you want to play Netflix on your, Chromecast, for example, let's see, where is it? Let's see on your Chromecast with Google TV, it costs you $3.2 2 watts per hour. If you want to do the
Okay.
same thing on a PS5, it's 80 watts per hour. We're talking about orders, multiple orders of magnitude. It's alarming how much that takes. An Apple TV second generation, it would cost you 4 watts. A PS4 is 95 watts of power for what you would have to use 4 watts for.
Yeah, I get the dedicated streaming devices are just, connect to the internet, get the stuff, pass it through. They're just a pass-through box.
Right.
But the PS5 is like, it's running its operating system. It's probably checking for updates while you're doing it. It might be downloading something in the background. Like,
right.
It's active. The whole console is on and active in a way that like a Chromecast is just not. And so if you're just going to be streaming something, then yeah, it's a lot of unnecessary power for streaming things.
Yeah. So if you're using and it's not just the amount of power that it uses beyond just like my, touchy-feely environmental bullshit, but also that's money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money that you're spending that you do not need to be spending. If you think about it for like just streaming television on a regular basis, that is a couple of $100 difference in your electricity bill, could be as much as that, depending on how much television you watch. So if you're using your console to play your Apple TV or whatever, you might very much want to think about a Chromecast, simply because you will save a shit ton of money. So that's my PSA. All right. So that was my article. That's it. I'm cashed out.
Okay.
Next item.
Yeah, I don't think I've streamed on the console since I got the Roku TV that has all the actual streaming apps.
Yeah, my Samsung has actual apps, but it doesn't have all the apps. It doesn't have Disney Plus on it. This is like before that stuff came out. It doesn't have like even any of the anime stuff. It's kind of funny. It's got a ton of different channels for like Indian, like Bollywood and Indian stuff, but it does not have a lot of English speaking, which is very strange. Bought it at Best Buy. But it doesn't have things like I really wish it had Crunchyroll. Bunch of other things that I wish it had, but it doesn't. And I really wish it had Apple TV, but it doesn't.
I remember when I was getting a new tablet, one of the reasons I got like the big 12-inch tablet was because I wanted to read digital comics on it. That's like my primary reason for getting it. I got a like Windows 11 tablet and then realized, it doesn't support the Comixology app.
Yeah.
And I was like, this fucking sucks. So I sent it back, got a refund, and ended up just getting an iPad.
Yeah.
Because that does support the app.
Speaking of which, it's kind of a side note. I don't think I mentioned it last week. I didn't. You know that I have a Steam Deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd said that I was really looking forward to playing Crusader Kings at work.
Oh yeah, you didn't say it on the show, but you told me afterwards.
Yeah, it doesn't work. You can't play Crusader Kings, but you can play Stardew Valley. And what's really nice is that, especially with Stardew, just picked up the game where I left my last game.
Oh, that's
Didn't
right.
have to start over.
It's technically Steam. Well, it's not
It is Steam.
It is.
It is Steam. So I just picked up the game right where I left it, which was really, really, really neat.
Cool.
It's a little difficult to use for a game like that. It's going to take some getting used to. Of course, better on a computer than it is on a Steam Deck, but not all games. Certainly not the big, huge, crunchy, massive game. So this makes me feel a little bit better that I bought a Steam Deck and a gaming laptop.
Yes, yeah.
Because there was that moment of like, fuck, did I really need to do that? Well, yeah.
I'm surprised that Crusader Kings doesn't run on it. Like,
it won't even boot. It won't even boot it up. It starts to run it, and I can get to the Paradox launcher, and that's it.
Maybe it's
Uh,
just
It'll
that
bring up
game
the
is not
screens. I should
compatible.
say it'll bring up the loading screens, and then it goes, no, and then just quits that game.
Huh. I wonder if any other Paradox games work.
Possibly. So, anyways, next item.
So the Wall Street Journal did a little dive into Horizon Worlds, Facebook / Meta's big old metaverse bullshit attempt. So one of the things that you can do in Horizon Worlds is that individual users can create worlds that their friends can visit or that strangers can visit.
Mm-hmm.
What the Wall Street Journal found is that basically a lot of people have made these worlds, but no one comes to visit them. And so most of Horizon Worlds, like the game, is just filled with empty, barren worlds. Something created by a user who then like played around with it for a couple months and never came back. And then no one ever visited it.
It's just like these empty. It reminds me once again of, remember PlayStation? What was the PlayStation thing that they had?
PlayStation Home.
Yeah, PlayStation Home.
PlayStation Home was more successful than Horizon Worlds.
This place is just fucking empty. And it's just like these vast, like this big mall. And we're looking at it on screen. This big mall. And there's just nobody.
It's a
oh, this is a game.
What's the word? A user created wasteland.
Because a user created wasteland.
It's a bunch of user created stuff that in theory, you can have your friends join and all this stuff. Imagine if like Minecraft wasn't played by anybody. And it's just, here's a world that people made and that no one can see, that no one cares about.
Mm-hmm.
So just a bit more Schadenfreude laughing at Facebook's metaverse.
Yeah, just these big empty spaces where it's like, hey, you're the only person here, which is, honestly, exactly what I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm. So the story in the Wall Street Journal says that based on internal stats, most players don't stick around after their first month. So like a lot of, cool new things, it's like, I'm going to play around with it for a month and then nothing.
Right.
Which speaks to like the inability of that game to provide anything interesting other than like a brief, this is neat.
$15 billion.
That's what you get for $15 billion.
$15 billion.
You get a dead universe that would make Cthulhu proud.
That your employees won't even use when you ask them to. Like when you practically demand them to, they aren't using. Although honestly, if you want a job at Facebook, really good place to look for it is inside for Horizon Worlds. Because that's the only people who are there are like, Facebook employees.
I feel like that group is ripe for mass layoffs.
Yeah. It also really points out the power of the Zuckerberg, the fact that the investors have not demanded this to stop.
I think they have. They just can't because he owns enough of the company to do whatever he wants.
Right.
They can't stop him.
But they could sell the stock.
That's
how an investor, a large group of investors, change the direction on a company is they drive the stock down to zero because nobody wants to own it.
Yes, but
that's
I
how they
like
really vote.
If they did that, they would lose a lot of money. And right now they're just going like, Jesus fucking Christ, Mark.
It's got to get better. It's got to get better.
It's got to get better. It's got to get, you're going to do this. You're going to do it, right? You're going to do it. And he's like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
That's how I like, for example, I bought stock in Zillow when it was like on the skids because I'm like, it's got to go up. I have lost 75% of that money. I haven't sold it because it's got to go up.
It's gotta go up.
It's got to go up.
It's gotta
No,
get
it
better.
really got to go up. I believe it's going to go up. Now, should I have sold that Zillow? Like not even invested? Absolutely. If I could go back and uninvest it, I would. Am I going to sell it yet? Fuck no.
No. Every time it goes down, you're like, that's it. We've hit rock bottom.
We've
The
hit
only
bottom.
place to go is up.
So it might be that that's the situation. It's probably very much the situation with Facebook, but
I'll
still.
bet. Imagine that, but like times 500 million of your dollars.
The
And you'll
fact
just
that
like-
there aren't like mass petitions of like, just calling the shit out. But $15 billion. God.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of those investors are going, this is bad, but you know what?
It's gotta go up.
No one is like Facebook's active users is going down. They're like, oh shit. Like Facebook is going down. We need this other thing to work.
Yeah.
It's like there's no other option. Either this works or the company's gone. And they're like, we need this to work.
They bet large on VR and they continue to bet on VR because they're doing the same thing. It's got to go up, right? Got to be the next big thing. Google, it's one, I will give Google credit for this. They get blamed a lot for abandoning ideas way too early without putting enough investment and time into it. Stadia being the most recent one.
Mhm.
But Google has its fingers in a lot of pies. And this is why. If you have a lot of possibilities, then you increase your chances of finding the next big thing that sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook hasn't. It did good with Snapchat, absolutely. But it because it only picks one and then it invests large into it, it runs the risk of doing exactly what it has. Is it's put $15 billion into something that is not going to work.
Yeah.
And they've got no out. The right way to do it is somewhere between Google and Facebook. They're two extremes.
Speaking of desperate attempts to find the next big thing,
Mm-hmm.
Netflix has announced a plan for game streaming.
No, I didn't see this.
So the VP of game development, Mike Verdu, spoke at TechCrunch Disrupt, and he basically just was like very vague things. He just said, we are very seriously exploring a cloud gaming offering, which is not like a huge, they're not investing $15 billion into it. But it's like, it is something that they are seriously looking at, which, like, honestly, it makes sense. They stream movies. Why not stream games if you can get that working? We talked about how Stadia, the technology actually worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get that same technology and like actually support it with games,
Mm-hmm.
then game streaming on Netflix could work. Like in theory, it's not something that you go and you think about and go, that'll never work. It's like, in theory,
Yeah.
if I wanted to play Scorn, and I'm like, you know what, Scorn is included in my Netflix subscription, so I'm gonna take my Netflix controller, turn on the TV, and hit Scorn and start streaming Scorn. Like,
Mhm.
I could see that being a possibility in the future.
Right. Yeah, I could too. And if someone is going to make this work, of all of them, Netflix would be the one to do it. That being said, they kind of already are through their Netflix app, and nobody's using those games.
Yes, I mean, this gets into Netflix's well-known and well-documented discoverability problem, and that if they do this, how are they going to present it?
Right.
That is a whole separate issue. But right now, them seriously considering game streaming is just like, that's a very interesting proposition, and I encourage them to go in that direction because
What do you think that
Eh.
we've had a lot of game streaming services
Mhm.
that have come and gone. What recommendation? What is the reason you think that these game streaming services didn't make it?
I mean, so I don't think there's actually been a bunch. There was OnLive,
On live?
and OnLive was like, hey, look, we're trying to do this. It's an interesting idea. It's way ahead of its time. And the issue was you have to pay $60 for a game that you don't own a physical copy of. And when OnLive went down,
Mm-hmm.
you lost your entire library.
Right. So on live was pricing.
Well, online pricing and also just, like I said, ahead of its time. No one really wanted to support or think about game streaming.
Right.
Stadia probably had like the best chance of success, but like Google kneecapped it before it could grow. And I do
How do
think
you think Google kneecapped it before? I mean, got rid of it?
no, they in their like first initial pitch of what Stadia could be, they announced a whole bunch of really interesting sounding features that never actually got implemented. And
Mhm.
so from the beginning, when it actually launched to the public,
Mhm.
it didn't offer anything unique.
Amazon Luna, that's another one.
Amazon Luna is like,
Is it still around or is it gone?
it's still around.
Yeah,
It's
case in
just
point.
it's just something there in the background,
Yeah.
it's just chugging along, doing its thing. But what Luna gets right, and I think what Microsoft has gotten right, is that the whole pitch of game streaming is that you don't own the game. And so the idea of me buying a game on this fledgling service that could go under and then I lose my entire library, I feel like that's the real choking point. That's the point. People don't want to invest a whole lot of time and money. And we actually have a story about this later about the guy who invested 6,000 hours into the Stadia version of Red Dead Redemption. Like people are wary of doing that for a service that could fail and losing all their time and all of their libraries. What Luna gets right is it's just a subscription service. Like you sign up for Luna, you get a bunch of games and you can play them.
Mhm.
The streaming on Microsoft works because it's like, hey, you sign up for Game Pass, you can just stream these games. If Netflix gets into it, I assume that because it's their entire model, it would be something similar to Game Pass and Luna, where, hey, we're going to pay developers to put their games on our service so that you can play them. I mean, that's already how the games work now. Like I downloaded Into the Breach on my iPad and played a bunch of it and really enjoyed it. And I did that for free because it was part of the Netflix subscription.
Mhm.
If they include games in that subscription, that would be, I would happily like buy a Netflix controller so that I could play around with the Netflix streaming games. I don't know if I would do it long term, but it would be enough of a fun gimmick that I would experiment with it. And if it worked well, maybe invest more time and more time into it. I wouldn't need money into it because it's part of the subscription service.
So
So I think that
do you think that you would pay more for a subscription to
No.
Netflix if you could have games with it?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I have a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox, so I kind of
Right.
don't need game streaming. But I imagine, hypothetically, like let's jump 10 years into the future.
Goaly's got a great idea. He says maybe instead of streaming the game, Netflix will send you a disc in the mail.
Netflix just buys GameFly. But
Anyway.
so like let's jump 10 years into a hypothetical future. Netflix has implemented game streaming, and you know what? Like it works really well. The technology works really well. People are like, hey, this is better than Stadia was. And they have enough big games out there. They get Subnautica out there because Subnautica seems to be like on every fledgling services free game things. They get I don't know, a Plague Tale out there. They get Scorn out there. It's like, oh, hey, this is really neat that we can play all these games streaming. That when they first start that, it will be included in the like standard $15 a month subscription. I guarantee you it will be included. If it does well and if it is like received well,
They're
then
going to raise the price.
then they'll be like, okay, next time we raise our price, we're gonna separate it into tiers.
Right.
Like if you
That's
want
the way they do
gaming
need to do it.
package-
They need to get us hooked. The
Yes.
first taste has to be free
Yes.
until we're good and hooked. And then they charge us more because they
Yes.
separate it out.
So
Absolutely.
that's how I see it going. Is they would do it for free at first. If it takes
Right.
off, then they'll separate it.
Here's my suggestion. If I was going to like have the ear of Netflix, have the ear of Mike Verdu, and say, all right, here's what you need to do. I agree with absolutely everything you said. That it needs to be not buying a game, because we aren't buying the game. We're streaming the game. It's the equivalent of renting the movie.
Yeah. And I want to pay
Um,
$60 to rent a game.
Right. Just like I don't want to spend $12 or $15 to see a movie or to own a movie to watch a movie that I don't own. You know, like I don't want to pay the same price as buying the DVD.
The premium video on demand rental.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
oh hey, just the other day, Bros came out on VOD, and I was like, oh hey, I heard good things about that movie. I want to say, oh, it's $20. I'll wait till it's $6.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens on Amazon when you're streaming on Amazon, is that they charge you per. But here's my suggestion, is that in another thing that would make people actually feel more comfortable playing the game and adopting these games is to ensure that the saves are transferable to other systems like Xbox. Make it all cross-platform in some way. Maybe not cross-platform play, but certainly a way that you could export your save to some other service. And that kind of goes probably against what Netflix would want you to do. They want you to play their system, their streams. But I would say that at least certainly early on, given the history of what happened with Stadia, that it's important for people to know that if, heaven forbid, you decide not to continue this service and end it, I haven't lost the time. My time is an investment. I haven't lost my character. And it's not going to be a oh shit moment.
An oh
Because
shit
people
moment.
do remember, and it's Stadia just happened. Stadia just happened. It's going to be years before people forget that happened.
So you're basically saying that, like Rockstar, they should throw a bone to someone that invests 6,000 hours into their version of a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that dude who infamously, the streamer who infamously spent, spent 6,000 hours of Red Dead Online in Stadia. Take-Two has basically, Rockstar specifically, has given people a path to transferring their saves off of Stadia to somewhere else.
Right.
So she will now be able to keep her batshit crazy 6,000 hours game intact and increase it to 12,000.
With the security of knowing that it's not going to get lost. And she will happily spend another 6,000 hours because now she knows she's not going to lose it. Yeah. Case in point.
So, yes, like Bungie, IO Interactive, and ZeniMax, Red Dead Online players can transfer all currencies and experience from Stadia to an account on another platform via the Rockstar Social Club. And so, you know what? Like,
AC Wraithbay says, I don't know. People often forgot Stadia even existed.
they're not going to remember Stadia.
Blood Reaver says AC's right. People don't even remember Stadia. I don't even remember Luna, and it's still around.
Oh,
The
that
only thing I know about Luna was the announcement. After that, it was like, what? Oh yeah, there is that thing out there.
I think weirdly enough, the change and the rise of games as a service works really, really well with game streaming because when a game is done as a service, it's usually like all your progress and all your currencies and save and all that is saved down on like a server owned by the developer. That's what I think that's what Fortnite does. That's what PUBG does. That's what a lot of these services do. Like Rockstar does that, Bungie does that. And so that means like your information is not just saved on a console. It's
Mhm.
also saved in the cloud run
Right.
by these developers. So that would make it a little bit easier to jump from streaming platform to console to streaming platform if all your data is just saved in the developer's cloud.
Right. So anyway, we were saying, sorry for
That
interrupting
was
you.
it.
All right. So next item.
What else do I have? Oh yeah, there was a Resident Evil showcase. Wasn't quite the banger that the Silent Hill showcase was, but they announced like a couple cool things. They announced a DLC for Resident Evil Village, in which you play as Ethan's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They announced time is a flat circle. History repeats itself, and Capcom specifically seems doomed to repeat the same time loop over and over and over again, because they also announced that Resident Evil Reverse, RE:VERSE, which is a multiplayer shooter, is
Mm-hmm.
still coming out later this month. And I think that's like the fourth Resident Evil multiplayer shooter that they've made. And none of them have taken off. None of them have been very good. But you know what?
Definition of insanity.
They're gonna keep on doing it.
Definition of insanity. Eventually, somebody's gonna like our games. Please
Mhm.
like us. Please like us. Please.
So as someone who has a deep and abiding love for Resident Evil, I have zero interest in playing a multiplayer shooter version.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that they want it to be Left 4 Dead, but we already have Back 4 Blood. We don't need Reverse.
yeah. And also the games just aren't very good.
Yeah.
They're never actually good. Anyways, in addition to that, they announced a whole bunch of Resident Evils for the Switch, all of which are cloud versions that will stream to the Switch. So, speaking of game streaming, that's one of the things that kind of has allowed the Switch to play games above its punching weight in terms of processing power is people just stream it to the Switch's device.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they announced a whole bunch of those. More interesting. Excuse me. The biggest news though is they showed off a story trailer and an extended gameplay trailer for the Resident Evil 4 remake. And so you know what we talked about how Konami remaking Silent Hill 2 is kind of a cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
I think our taste for cash grab remakes has gotten a little diluted. Not diluted, like we want it because we have EA doing a big remake of Dead Space. We've had Capcom doing remakes of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, now Resident Evil 4. So having Konami come in and do a remake of Silent Hill 2 it feels less like, oh, this is a big old cash grab, and more like,
right.
Yeah, you're doing the
We
industry
become
standard.
inured. We're immune to that as much
Yeah.
as we can be.
These type of cash grabs are just how the industry works.
Exactly.
But you know what? Fucking Resident Evil 4 remake looks pretty damn cool.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it looks like Resident Evil 4, but with better graphics and yeah, maybe a slightly mixed up gameplay.
Yeah.
And then in a cool little twist, one of the things that they did is they updated Resident Evil Village with a third-person mode.
Really?
In the style of like Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. Because Village was originally just a first-person game, a lot like Resident Evil 7. But yeah, with the new update, from what I can tell, it's not just a PC mod. Like that's an actual update to the game put out by Capcom that you can play it in third person, which
Mhm.
is, yeah, that's a cool twist,
Yeah.
a cool addition. Yes, AC Wraith, you could actually play it.
Yeah.
No, like first person. What is it?
Vertigo?
Yeah, Vertigo.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting watching this trailer now. The DLC for Resident Evil 7 that includes Ethan's daughter looks like it's in third person.
Good to know. Anything else that came out of the showcase?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
And then in some fun news,
Mm-hmm.
YouTuber Markiplier has announced that he has promised to make an OnlyFans account if people rate and listen to one of his 2 podcasts. He does a sports podcast and like a gaming podcast. Rate them on iTunes and get them above Joe Rogan. He will make an OnlyFans, which already comes on the heels of him putting out a nude calendar filled with tasteful nudes.
God.
And like
Ugh.
I've seen other stuff with Markiplier. He was like, there's another YouTube channel called Corridor Digital
Mhm.
that does a lot of like VFX artists react videos. And I actually subscribe to their own thing because they put out a lot of like really cool VFX related videos. He actually interned for them for several months and kind of put out a bunch of other videos of like him starting a coup at Corridor Digital to take over. But like they did an interview with him because he also did like a whole YouTube series interactive video game with like, you know how on YouTube when you get to the end of the video it shows you like, oh, here's what you could play next and give you 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
He used that to basically make a choose your own adventure style game where you would click on the next video of what you wanted to do next in the story.
That's kind of cool.
So he's done a lot of cool things. Like I like him. He's a good streamer, and so I fully support him trying to dethrone Joe Rogan and make an
anybody that
OnlyFans.
dethrones Joe Rogan would make me happy.
So go Markiplier. GameHounds supports you.
We support you. Viva la revolution.
Mhm.
All right, next item.
Overwatch 2. People really don't like Overwatch 2. It's been
Oh,
financially
God.
successful, but there's been a lot of chatter about how the battle pass is so grindy and how with a lot of battle passes, like you get some free items along the way, or like you get some currency that you can spend on the store. It's not a lot, but it's
Right.
snippets. It's table scraps. The Overwatch 2 battle pass doesn't even give you those table scraps.
Really?
Yeah. And so that's gotten a lot of people really upset to basically say like, yo, it's so grindy and there's like nothing at the free level where you have to buy the battle pass to get literally anything and you
Mhm.
spend it all getting emotes and they're like, oh no, fuck these emotes. I want a skin. I want a
Right.
currency. And it's gotten people actually missing the loot boxes. Because even if the loot boxes often gave you duplicate versions of things,
At least it was something.
those duplicate versions were then converted into currency that
Right.
when it adds up enough, you could go buy something. You can't do that anymore. And so that just increases the grind that it takes to afford anything.
Oh God. How they could take such an incredibly successful game and make such a bungling mess of the sequel of a game that all you had to do was essentially make exactly the same thing and put a 2 after it and people would have been fine with that. People would have been happy for you just to reskin. But I don't know. They just did it.
Yeah. Well, they stopped. Overwatch is a live service game, right?
Right.
They stopped updating their live service game for 2 years, saying we're making Overwatch 2. And then they put out Overwatch 2 with a bunch of changes to the core gameplay that people don't like, while also not releasing the PvE mode that in theory they spent most of those 2 years developing.
Mhm.
So like right now, the biggest selling point of Overwatch 2 is not actually in Overwatch 2.
Yeah. I wonder how much of this has to do with the fact that there was a pandemic in the middle of all of this, or some of it. I mean, obviously not all of it, because it were decisions
Yeah,
that were made that were
there are
not good decisions.
there are enough like deep design decisions that are not pandemic related.
Yeah. And that were kept in. Maybe that if they hadn't been for the pandemic, they would have seen that they were bad ideas before they released them into the wild. That they would have kind of been
Yeah.
edited out or tweaked in such a way to make them not suck.
I feel like, and I don't know if we talked about this or maybe I talked about it with someone else that over a couple months ago, like Jeff Kaplan, I think his name was, he was like a lead someone at Blizzard,
Mhm.
and he left. And a lot of people attribute that to be the turning point because he was probably someone that pushed back on a lot of the bad design decisions coming down from above.
Mhm.
And with him leaving, there was no longer that wall. And so now a lot of those bad design decisions from Activision trickled down into Overwatch 2.
Yeah. Chaos says, it says, Overwatch 1.2 fixes it for you, Nick. And he says, it's not a sequel. No, Edie, that's what I said. They did. It's literally a version update. Hello. Yeah. All right. So maybe that's the case. But if it was a version update, well, that's the thing, is that if they had reskinned the old game, improved the graphics, and called it 2, that would be one thing. They made critical decisions to the gameplay that were bad. And that's the thing that surprises me, that they screwed it up because it was so successful to start off with. Oh, the hello was for betters. Okay. Sorry.
So yeah, like it's like what Vice said earlier. It's easy to be cautiously optimistic about Konami when you have Activision Blizzard out here just like hold my beer.
Good point.
Like surely the hole can't get any deeper. And someone at Activision is like, no, we're going to China.
All right. Well, next item.
Is that all I have? No, that's right. This came from Ezio Helsing in the Discord. That speaking of Blizzard, a bunch of players were invited to an endgame beta test for Diablo 4. As with a lot of these beta tests, there were like NDAs signed. And so the moment that a lot of these players finished the beta, they went on Reddit and were like, yo, guess what I just played? And so now like videos and hot takes and stuff about Diablo 4, specifically Diablo 4's endgame, are out there because no one gives a shit about the NDAs.
Nope. Yeah, that's the thing about NDAs. If someone, it depends. If someone has, assets that could be seized, that would be one thing. Or if it's just one person that is breaking NDA. But a way to break an NDA, meaning not breaking the NDA by doing something, but how to actually break the process of an NDA, is make sure that whoever breaks it doesn't have any assets to seize, number one, so there's no repercussions. And number two, if you have everybody breaking the NDA, then they can't file suit against anybody.
So you either do it all together or don't.
You have to do everybody or you have to do nobody. And if it's so many people they couldn't reasonably do it, then there is no NDA.
And I think it's also important that it doesn't. A lot of times these sort of beta things go out to streamers or journalists. This PC Gamer article says that Blizzard sent out the beta invites exclusively to players who, quote, recently spent significant amounts of time playing the endgame experiences of Diablo 2 Resurrected, Diablo 3, and Diablo Immortal. So they didn't give the beta invites to people that have a career incentive not to break it.
Mm-hmm.
They just gave it to players, people
Right.
who played a lot of Diablo. Maybe
Right.
in theory, some of those players might be streamers because streamers play a lot, but it also could just be someone that played a lot of these games.
And they have no idea. There's when streamers break an NDA or the media breaks an NDA, then they know that they wouldn't do it because it would ruin their career, would
Mhm.
ruin future access.
Yeah, like you
and
can
they
blackball
need that.
you can blackball that journalist or
Right.
like that the company they work for.
But an NDA against rank and file people who don't really care, who have nothing to lose by
Yeah, like-
breaking an NDA,
Joe Blow doesn't care.
does not care about an NDA. So yeah, that was kind of stupid of them. Why would you even not want these people to show the gameplay?
Yeah, especially because a lot of the stuff that came out of it is positive.
Yeah.
Which
Also a
Blizzard-
lot of negative with the
desperately-
microtransactions.
I think that was
information.
for Diablo Immortal.
Oh, but
We don't have any information about Diablo 4 yet. About what if any
I-
microtransactions would be in it yet.
I want to maybe I'm remembering something
I don't
different.
feel like
but
I've
yeah,
heard that yet.
it's you don't hand the games to just any old gamer,
Yeah.
Even if they have hundreds of hours, unless you want that to be out in the wild.
I mean, at this point, if anyone has anything good to say about it, Blizzard should just embrace that because they need the positive.
They do, especially after Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other things? I'm looking at this list. Did you find anything? See, I haven't been able to talk, so you haven't been able to find random shit at the end of the show.
I did find one random thing. I don't know if it's worth talking about more than just like a face palm. That's where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Will Wright has announced that he's gonna make an NFT game.
Oh no! Really?
Yep.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love Will Wright with right up there. I mean, he's a genius. He's Mr. Sims. But let's not forget he also made Spore. That was his last game. He's great, but he ain't perfect. And his best games, like many great artists of any kind, their best stuff was their early work, not their late work. So yeah. Man, when are people gonna realize that NFTs are a scam? Really?
I feel like this Kotaku article sums it up so perfectly. They say the project ticks every box for something that should have been announced in May 2021 and then quickly shelved 12 months later when the ass fell out of the market.
Yep.
So yeah,
I find it curious that people are not interested in buying games for streaming because they don't own the games and they could disappear at any time, but they are more than happy with the idea of NFTs. Blockchain, baby! It'll be around forever!
That's because you own what's on the blockchain.
You own what's on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's yours.
It's
forever.
absolutely yours. Forever.
Until the game shuts down.
Right.
And then your $1 million sports licensed sports car is like, well,
Yeah.
we'll give you this other stuff for it.
Yep. NFTs are a scam. Please, all of you, please, please. Don't let anybody else tell you anything otherwise. NFTs are a scam. Yes, I know I'm somebody who bought Zillow. So maybe I'm not the best. I am not a financial wizard, nor am I an expert. So, but
Look, you
I
are,
wouldn't put any money in NFTs, and I bought Zillow.
you are no worse than any of the millions of Facebook investors.
Yeah, true. It's true. That is true.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Ezio, that's right. That could be fun. Ezio Singh also had a story about how chess.com, I think, is being sued by the not Magnus Carlsen, not the
No, the other guy.
yeah, the guy that was accused of cheating.
Right. Yeah, because I'm gonna have to look this up. What was the name of the cheating? Chess cheating
Hans?
scandal. His name is Hans Niemann.
Mm.
So, yeah, Hans Niemann is suing chess.com for $100 million because I think we talked about that the latest in the whole chess cheating scandal was that chess.com had come out with an analysis that said that Hans Niemann cheated more than he said he did. And let's go
Mhm.
back to the very beginning. Hans Niemann, who is what is like an 18 or 19-year-old kid who happens to be a grandmaster, beat
Yeah, 19.
19. He beat Magnus Carlsen in a match in person over the board. And Magnus Carlsen suggested as he walked out that that Hans Niemann had cheated. Now, everybody who watched that match saw Magnus Carlsen make some huge mistakes and watched Hans Niemann take advantage of those mistakes.
Yeah.
But as
And then-
typical with chess people, they're very upset.
And then
They're
it got,
very
it got more complicated because they actually played a second time, but then after one move, Magnus like got up and
left.
away.
Now, he didn't accuse him of cheating, but there was discussion about it.
Yeah, it was never like
in a way of
he's
like,
cheating.
I'm not going to tell you he's cheating,
Yeah.
and then
But-
walked away.
Yeah, I'm
Something
not
along
going to
those
tell you
lines.
he's cheating, but he was weirdly calm when we were playing. And
Right.
most people I've played are not that
Not
calm. So,
calm.
you know, I'm just asking questions.
Right. So then Hans Niemann, the 19-year-old, admitted that, yes, I have cheated. I cheated a couple of times when I was like 16 or 17 in a couple of online matches that weren't for money. I did that, and it was stupid. It was dumb of me, but I've never cheated in person over the board. I have never cheated in a game that had any kind of stakes to it.
Mhm.
Chess.com came out with an analysis of Hans Niemann's play over
And
last period of time.
And this was just after they banned him from playing.
Right. And their analysis came to the conclusion with a headline to it that they put out there that Hans Niemann appears to have cheated a lot more than those two times and in very significant places, including in person, because his gameplay, an analysis of the gameplay shows that it wasn't, it was likely a 90% chance that he cheated a ton of times and as recently as this year. That being said, chess.com is in talks right now with Magnus Carlsen to purchase Magnus Carlsen's computer program, whatever it was, his teaching program, his chess teaching program, for something like $80 million.
Hmm.
And that was what everybody said after chess.com came out, was it really wasn't in chess.com's best financial interest for them to declare Hans Niemann as not cheating. It served their financial purposes to suggest that he was cheating and that that's why he beat Magnus Carlsen. Because they didn't want to besmirch Magnus Carlsen's name. Now, Magnus Carlsen lost. He lost that game. It all comes down to the fact that Magnus Carlsen fucked up in a game and lost. And his answer was to suggest that the person that beat him was cheating. So anyway, the latest step is that Hans Niemann, the 19-year-old phenom who was accused of cheating and that chess.com said was likely cheating, but had financial stake in making sure that Magnus Carlsen was right, he's suing him for $100 million because now he has impugned his name. So yeah, it's spicy. Let's just say that. It's very spicy. We won't even talk about the anal beads because that whole thing is just absolutely ludicrous.
That was a Reddit joke that somehow got picked up.
Right. A Reddit joke that got picked up and just went nuts was the whole suggestion that he was using anal beads. No. It was misquote. What does there's a Hans Niemann report right there. There's the Hans Niemann report. He said it was gas, but we know it was a vibrating bead giving him intel. Yeah. So yeah. What was it? What's the? He didn't claim it. Didn't he claim? No, nobody claimed that it was vibrating anal beads.
That was the Reddit joke.
That was a Reddit joke that kind of, like when somebody makes a joke and then everybody kind of runs with it. Somebody made the joke, everybody kind of ran with it, kind of adding stuff onto it, and then somebody picked it up as like, and they're talking about anal beads, being the reason why how Hans Niemann got his information. Hans Niemann said, I will happily replay Magnus Carlsen naked actually that's how it started. I'll happily play Hans Carlsen naked to prove that I'm not cheating with anything. And somebody said, yeah, but he's probably cheating through anal beads. And that's how it started, the thing. So the anal beads is not and never was a thing. Andrew Smith says, Chaos says, no. I choose to believe it's real. It's the world I want to live in. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You can use anal beads for all sorts of cheating.
Really? Can you now?
Oh yeah.
Cheating in what? Checkers?
Checkers? Poker? Do you know how many cheating scandals are ripe to be exposed in the World Championships of poker?
Oh, there was actually a recent world champion, recent poker cheating scandal.
Yeah, I actually did say. I forget the details, but I do remember.
Yeah, I forget the details too. It was one player with a girl who who turned out she was cheating, and she won a really, really big hand, and then she went back and gave the money back to the guy that she won it off of because she admitted that she kind of sort of cheated. Actually, I don't think she admitted it, but just because she didn't want to deal with it, she gave the money back. And that's kind of started off a little bit of a thing about, with everything. You never want to be caught cheating. But certainly in chess and poker, you never want to be caught cheating because once that happens, you're kind of done.
See, if these chess tournaments start taking x-rays of people's asses on the chairs that they sit in, they'll realize, oh shit, all the high players have got anal beads up and they're just
anal beads.
Buzzing in Morse code.
But the thing is that they might have anal beads, but they could just be playing music.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's their excuse. I just find it comfortable.
It's comforting.
It soothes me.
AC Ray says, let it be fake, then you can be the first to make it work. It's a bead revolution. Good vibrations.
See, it begins with chess. It expands to poker, and pretty soon you got NFL players going like, you know what? These anal beads today improved my game so much. I threw 4 touchdown passes this game, and you know what? It's because of the beads.
You know how to make Steph Curry hit that shot just a little bit faster? Give him a jolt just before it happens. It's like, woohoo! 3 points.
Never miss a 3-pointer again.
Here's the windup and the swing. Woohoo!
AC Wraith is right. Nothing wrong with some transhumanism, which is the
okay, so this is how the anal bead thing
2022.
started, is that somebody suggested, because I'll play him naked, he'll cheat with anal beads, and then it went off, and then it became a headline somewhere. So we should be very careful, because idle jokes about anal beads somehow end up on, like, headlines. I don't want this show to be the anal bead show.
See, I'm fine with that. I think
Batters in baseball getting the pitch.
I would be happy to be known for that.
Okay, so Ezio has one more story. Fable Dev got back a commemorative plaque after 12 years.
I don't know that.
I don't know this either. Let's be looking this up. Transhumanism. Thank you for the link to transhumanism, AC Wraith, because you are the ultimate link bitch. You will find a link for everything.
Andrew says he would come back for the anal beads show.
I'm Team Beads. All right, so let's are you looking up that plaque? And then after this we gotta go, because I'm gotta walk the dogs. Sun's starting to go down. Gotta walk the dogs. I gotta pee.
Looking. Haven't found it in a moment. Let me. Fable Dev.
Fable Dev commemorative plaque appears on eBay. Why did you have a hard time finding this, Nick? I'm not that
Because
good.
the first thing I did was like look at Polygon and Kotaku.
It's because
it's
you are
on
silly for not actually. It's on Kotaku. You don't look on places. You do a fucking Google search, Nick, and then you pull up on Kotaku Australia. There we go.
This comes from PC Gamer. Mike Drucker was given a commemorative plaque for his work on Fable in 2004, and in 2010 it went missing under mysterious circumstances. And now, 12 years later, it has come back to his hands. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was missing, presumed stolen since 2010, and then he was notified by another developer that the plaque was on eBay for sale. When one user asked, and I'm reading from Kotaku Australia, when one user asked how the plaque went missing in the first place, Drucker explained that multiple items from his home had been stolen in 2010. In that process, it's possible that the plaque was one of the items taken from his home. So according to Drucker, the eBay seller sold it back for a surprisingly small sum compared to what they bought it for. On top of that, Drucker decided to also pay more than the price that they asked for, as well as throwing in an extra piece of Fable memorabilia for good measure. I'm kind of curious where that was for the last 12 years and who had it.
The PC Gamer article says that it ended up in a recycling center auction in Northampton around 2014, then sat in a collection until it went on sale on eBay.
So they found it in a recycling center auction?
Yeah. Oh, it ended up in a recycling center auction in 2014, and then I'll bet someone bought it there, and then maybe hung on to it until now.
What is a recycling center auction?
I'll bet you it's kind of like a like one of those police auctions for repossessed stuff, where it's like, oh hey, it was in a recycling center, but it's in good condition. Maybe we can sell this. Maybe something that seems like it might have a collector's value.
Interesting. I'm trying to see because that would be a property auction, a lost property or found property auction would be not a recycling center auction.
I'm just assuming it was like stuff at a recycling center people find, like, hey, maybe we can auction this.
That doesn't sound like No, people that work at a recycling center, when they find something good, they take it fucking home.
I don't know.
Yeah.
AC Wraith asks, are we still streaming The Quarry tonight? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. At 8:00 tonight, we will be streaming The Quarry. I will be screaming. This is definitely going to be. We've gone through the window dressing of the story. We are starting to get into the actual like scary
Yes.
part. The sun is. Let's just say the sun is going down.
True.
And it's about to set. When the sun sets, shit's going to happen.
I promise I'm not going to try to get everyone killed.
You are.
But
you love to get people killed.
If someone gets attacked, I'm going to run. I'm going to tell the people to run.
Yeah, it is going to be a good stream. I mean,
that's a Freudian slip.
That is definitely a Freudian slip because there is going to be much screaming. I can't help myself, especially when things scare me on screen. I absolutely scream a lot. I don't take being scared very well, like being startled very well at all. All right. So yeah, thank you for the link. 8 p.m. on Twitch. We are not on YouTube. So if you're one of our YouTube watchers, I can't ask you enough to please go over to Twitch and follow us. We can find us on Twitch at The GameHounds, and we will be there at pretty much exactly 8:00, assuming Nick isn't super late. And we will be streaming. So is there anything else we want to talk about before we close out the show?
No.
All right, then. Let's close this out.
That's everything.
You've been listening to GameHounds. GameHounds episode, what is it? 657. We did record this on Sunday, October 23rd, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers. With me has been Nikki Nicola. Ways to get a hold of us. GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitch and on YouTube. On Twitch, we are The GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS as in videos. We would love to have you there. Please come and visit. Thank you to everybody in the chat room today. You were awesome. We kept chaos. We had bitters. We have AC Wraith, who was our link bitch. Anything that we mentioned today that we actually could be looked up on the internet with a link, AC Wraith put the link into the description of the show, into the chat. So if you want to find anything, find it there. To SEO Helsing, thank you for being here. I think Hershey Health was here. Hey, Hershey, how you doing? Thank you for being here. A ton of other people. We appreciate it. Now, if you want to listen to the show as a podcast, yes, we do this as a podcast as well. You can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, a lot of other, pretty much Google Play, wherever you can listen to a podcast, that is where we are. You can look that up and looking for GameHounds Podcast. And if you do listen to us as a podcast, please, wherever you're downloading it from, go there and give us some feedback. Yes, we read the feedback. Yes, we act on the feedback. And more importantly, that feedback lets other people find us much easier. So please do so. Nick, thanks for being here. Again, we will talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, and stop and save. And
Sorry.
GH 6657 raw. Remember last week? It
Oh yeah,
failed.
how did it? What happened? Did you get the
I don't know.
audio?
It failed. It just failed.
Were you able to like get the audio from the?
We can
stream or-
always get the. And it's doing it again. God damn it. Audacity.
This wasn't even a long show.
No, it wasn't a long show. God damn it, Audacity. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's just going to think about it for an hour for the last elapsed, the last 2 seconds of, estimated time. It's going to take 10 hours. I will let it sit there. All right, everyone. I'm going to go because I really have to go to the bathroom. 2 is I've now said the closing monologue and my dogs know the closing monologue. So they know that they're going to go potty as well. Right? Right. She's waking up. She's like, all right, you're done with the show. Time to go. So I got to go walk the dogs. I got to make myself some dinner. And I've got to have that dinner digested because I am going to be screaming and you do not want me to scream on a full stomach. Thanks guys for being here. We will talk to you next week. And if you can come tonight, if you're only going to watch one gameplay stream of ours, tonight is probably the one you're going to want to watch. And if it's not tonight, it's going to be the next one because
yeah, we'll have to do something. We'll have to do something later this week too, just so that like Wednesday. How's Wednesday?
Wednesday's good.
Okay, we'll do something again Wednesday to try to get through as much of the games we can before Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
yeah, because when is Halloween?
Is Halloween?
Oh, it's the 23rd, so it's a week from today. No, it's going to be a Monday.
Okay. We could also stream on a Monday.
No.
If we haven't finished it by then.
We're going to stream on Monday night. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I live in a really big trick-or-treat neighborhood, so I'm going to be up and down the whole night. This is very... And holy crap, should I see if I can find it? We live in Halloween Central for the Bay Area that nobody knows about. There are houses that are full on decked out. And we have one house that the people that do it every year have a theme, and it is as good as any professional movie set you could ever find. Let me see. We call it the Buena Vista House because that's the name of the street it's on.
I feel like I might have heard of that before.
Yeah, and I have yet to see what it is. This last year it had something to do with time, and it was all these crazy clocks everywhere.
Cool.
Buena Vista. Let's see if I can find it. Come on. Where's the Buena Vista? There we go. And this is just off of next door. So let me give the sorry, I have to stop the screen, then I have to restart the screen because that's the way that it works here sometime.
Have you seen The Thing?
Yeah, so case in point, this is like, I guess it's Nightmare on Elm Street this year. And let's see. Yeah, this was last year.
Wow.
Yeah, no, they spend all year designing and hand making all this shit. It's nuts. That's their front. That's the front of their house. That's essentially their, like the front door is just to the right there.
Porch?
That's their porch.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's some serious shit in our neighborhood. So Halloween, it is a flood of children to the neighborhood because all it takes is one house that does this. Yeah, last year was Time Travel. That was with the TARDIS in the center.
Oh, that's okay. That's cool.
Yeah. These guys, they're amazing. So yeah, this year it's Nightmare. What was it? That's last
Me
year.
and Rachel went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday. Just
Really?
walked around. Yeah,
Why? Oh God.
because it's fun. Big
Okay.
ass, big ass turkey
Did you
leg.
have a turkey leg?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
But in one corner of the fair, by the food, there was a police box.
Good.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, so I guess this year it's what was it? Nightmare
Yeah,
Before
Nightmare Before
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. That's the theme this year. So yeah.
In the
So
chat, we were talking about what horror movies to watch with you that would make you scream.
oh
Oh, see, AC Wraith loves Renaissance fairs. Yes, see, we need the Ren
so
Fair.
maybe I just was in so many Renaissance fairs that I'm just because I mean I was a Renaissance fair rat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got it out of your system.
I got it into my system and then I got it out of my system. That's nothing that a dose of antibiotics couldn't fix. Renaissance fair is just an excuse for people to dress up and fuck in the bushes, essentially. At least that's the way it used to be. When somebody said police box, I thought somebody was dressed as Doctor Who. No, they just put it
They
in.
weren't dressed as Doctor Who. But
didn't
there
need
was
to.
they just put a police box there.
That's all they had to do to make the suggestion.
It wasn't this year, but there was one year when there were a bunch of people dressed up as like the Star Trek characters.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so but yeah, Halloween would be very problematic because when you have haunted houses, and that was the most detailed haunted house, but there are other other houses that are decorated not as elaborately, but quite elaborately.
Other people feel the need to step up their game, and then it becomes a whole neighborhood thing.
Yep. Our neighborhood is Halloween USA. So, and it's a relatively safe neighborhood in a not so relatively safe city. So all the parents come to Point Richmond to have their kids trick or treat because it's safer. And moreover, most of the city are these up a hill and these long winding streets, so it's with no sidewalks. I live in the flat part at the bottom of the hill where it's beautiful wide sidewalks and lots of houses right next to each other. So my house is not only in a neighborhood that gets hit a lot, but I am in the micro street area that gets hit even more than the rest of the whole neighborhood. So it's a constant stream. I mean, I already have 3 bags of candy and I'm waiting for them to go on sale a little bit closer and get another 3 or 4 more bags. And I
wow.
won't have any candy at the end of the night.
Okay, so if we do anything Halloween related, we'll do it Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday night. That's
Okay.
absolutely what it's going to be. All right, so you can see that the sun is going down by the fact that it's starting to get darker and darker around me. So I'm going to go because I got to go walk my dogs. Have a great week, everyone. We hope to see you tonight. Like I said, if you haven't watched the stream, tonight is the stream you're going to want to watch. We'll talk to you later.
Watch out for werewolves.
Janus asks, what part of Richmond do I live in? I live in Point Richmond. Are you familiar? Are you neighbor? I would love to see neighbor. Yes, I live in Point Richmond. And AC Ray says, nobody I know of celebrates around here. No kids are trick-or-treating. We can't afford the candy anyway. Oh, well, I could always take what few like milk duds are left and put an envelope out to you. Oh yeah, you are a neighbor. Woohoo!
Just send AC Wraith an envelope of like 3 milk duds. Not a box, just like 3 loose in an envelope.
And like a smattering of nerds from the bottom. Nerds. It's the only candy it's a candy that nobody buys except on Halloween is nerds. So Janice, I live across from Janice Playlot.
Bissell? He says he's on Bissell?
No way. You literally are. Yes. He's a little bit farther down, in town. He's in
Oh,
I don't want to say not great area, but yeah, he's I live across the street from Janice Playlot. That'll tell you where I am. I'm 1 block off of downtown Point Richmond. We got send me your gamer tag, and if you do console gaming, because I would love to play with you.
people, you touched a nerve with your nerds comment.
Why? Oh my god, are we having nerd rage?
AC Wraith says nerds with the candy when I was a kid.
Right, but they're not anymore. Nobody ever gets
says not true. I buy them from time to time.
No, really? Maybe I only don't see. Maybe that might be like an East Coast thing or a Midwest thing. I don't ever see nerds in the stores ever.
I can't remember like ever actively buying nerds, but I remember like really enjoying them in Halloween things. Good.
Okay, Janice, I am writing you down, and I'm going to be adding you to my friends list on everything. So yeah, come by and ask for some candy on Halloween. I got a lot. I almost bought a 20-foot skeleton for my front yard.
Oh,
just
shit.
What happened?
The cat's about to puke.
Great way to end the show.
Hey, yep.
All right, everybody. Nerds rope. There's a nerds rope.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Ugh, that sounds disgusting. But I'm a chocolate person. What makes me angry is that I always buy these, 200-piece bags, multiple ones of them for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And I always make sure that I get the one that has Heath bars. You know why? Because I fucking love Heath bars.
Okay.
I will knife a bitch to get to a Heath bar.
Okay.
Those 300 thing, it's like a million Reese's peanut butter cups, a million Snicker bars, and it'll be like 5 Heath bars in a 300 pack. They never put enough Heath bars, which is fine because I'm not a Starburst person. I am not a fruity flavor person. I am all about the Heath bars. Yeah, Bitter says I love Heath too. I know we're few and far between, but they make those packs for kids, and Heath bars are,
they're like Werther's Original.
Oh, I love Werther's Original.
Look, I like Werther's too, but they are the cliched old person candy.
They are, and when I came back from Iceland, I was so sick, and no, I did not have. By the way, my screen is just frozen because I have to change make an advanced change because I'm getting so dark here. When I came back from Iceland, I was so sick, not with COVID, but I was incredibly sick coming back. And a woman was sitting next to me, and she made it very clear, like she was American, and then she made it very clear that she was a Trumper. And I was like, oh God, I got to fly all the way back with a Trumper, and I'm sick. And I'm in the window seat, so I can't get out. So I just was like, this is going to be the worst flight of my life. And then she said, do you get like, a sore, not a sore throat, but like a dry throat? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, here, have some Werther's. She handed me a huge handful of Werther's candy, and she just kept handing it to me. And I'm like, not going to be so bad. But I remember very distinctly just being so sick and eating Werther's candies on the way back from Iceland. It's the last time I had Werther's.
Okay. I'm holding a pack of little thing of cat puke in my hand. I need to throw this away.
No, I'm going to let you sit there. You've tortured me so
No.
many times on this show
I'm
with
just gonna
me
say-
wanting to wrap up because I had to pee. And now you want to wrap up. And now all of a sudden I've got to dance to
I'm just gonna
your
say
tune.
we can take this candy
Oh,
discussion
the
and continue it
irony,
tonight.
the karma of this moment. Truly, I have been waiting for this fucking moment. I have to pee, but you know what I'm going to do? I will gladly piss my seat just to make you sit there with a handful of fucking cat puke.
I mean,
this,
it's not
this, sir, is revenge. I am having my moment. You will not take it from me.
it's not in my actual hands. It's in a paper towel. And I'm
I
holding the paper
don't
towel.
care. Are you uncomfortable holding a paper towel full of cat puke? Then you're sitting there the way I've had to sit
Not-
there a million times with you not ending the show.
I mean, I'm not
man,
that uncomfortable.
waited-
I've done it
I
enough.
have waited years for this. This is my moment.
Should I hold it up?
Yes.
people
Oh,
wanna
yes.
see it?
Oh,
You-
tell
you
me
wanna
all
see
about
it?
it. Tell me
Oh,
all
yeah.
about it. What's in it? Why don't you tell me more about how you're where did the cat puke?
On the
Like, is he
carpet.
sick or something?
He was. We were really worried because there was a day when he was just not keeping anything down.
Mm-hmm.
We think it might be something in the wet food because sometimes he'll like lick some wet food, and I guess that was triggering something in him.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped giving him wet food, and
Yeah.
for the past couple of days, he's been a lot better. This was just a hairball.
Okay.
It wasn't because before he would puke up his whole kibble, like solid pieces of undigested kibble.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually doing a lot better now.
So has he is it spread to the other cat?
No, Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't give a shit.
Okay. I'm enjoying this so much.
I could sit here for another hour.
You know what? Here's the thing.
I'm cool.
I know you've already tipped your hand. I know you're not letting it show because I'm enjoying it too much.
I would prefer to throw it away.
I am smarter than a dog or a 3-year-old. I know this is killing you, and you're just straight facing it. You are straight manning it just so I stop. But the thing is, I know already.
So I will say though, your the downside that you brought on yourself is buying me these very good wireless
Oh, that's the point.
I could at any moment walk
Get
out
up and
that
walk
door.
away. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I will stay here for the show. For the fucking show.
Jenna says you've been listening to us for years.
Oh wow.
I think I recognize your name, come to think of it, but I didn't know that you live in Richmond. We should have lunch sometime. Because I mean,
Yeah,
if you've been
that's-
listening for
that's
years, your
me.
family. Yeah, he's poker
Poker
facing
face
it.
Nick. Yeah. Oh yeah, lick me with your puked mouth. Oh, cats.
Smell my breath. Smell my breath. All right. I have enough torture. Have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye. What? We need to make him forget until he nonchalantly wipes his face with the same paper towel. Yeah. That would be awesome. But no. See you at 8 o'clock tonight, everyone. Bye.
Yep.